All right, guys, what is going on? This is Jake. Welcome to the first Warcry Games podcast. Now, so I've been wanting to do this for a while. Never actually set things in motion. I'm glad I got a couple buddies here that are both interested in doing this. So let's jump to them. Brandon.
Very interested. Let me just interrupt.
Yeah, Brandon here from Denver. How you doing, Brandon?
Dude, I'm great. I'm so excited to be on the Warcry Games podcast.
Yeah, man. I got John over here. He's another buddy and coworker here in Japan. How you doing, dude?
Good. Not bad for driving 6 hours, and yes.
That's right. You just came from like Shizuoka, other side of Japan. There was like a moment where you didn't think you were going to make
Peninsula.
it.
There was a
Warcry Games podcast, number 1 priority. We got to do what we got to do.
That was a priority.
We got to do
open up the show notes. Where's my show notes?
So I noticed, I know that you guys both haven't met each other yet. Just messaged back and forth this past week.
No, we're best buddies now, man. What are you talking about?
Yes, that's right.
So I already messaged Brandon this, but so John, you're a big Metroidvania fan. You love Hideo Kojima. This fucking guy is all up on Hideo.
I should have worn my Fox shirt, man. I've got a signed copy of Metal Gear Solid 3 signed by Hideo Kojima.
What?
No shit. Are you serious?
True story.
Wow. I have a really wrinkly picture somewhere here of Hideo Kojima visiting a K's electronics shop and me not wanting to wait in line and me just going like this. In front of him,
line,
not
Sorry,
he came and spoke. He came and spoke at the Smithsonian Art Museum about the art of video games, and I was front row.
That's pretty cool, man.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, you guys both got your science degrees.
I'll bring it next time. Next podcast, I'll show you guys his signature.
We will wear. I'll wear my Koji Pro T-shirt.
Yeah, I've got one that's just the Fox emblem from MGS3.
There you go. I got the Ludens one. Jake knows how long I waited in line at TGS for that shit.
It was ridiculous. It was what, hour and a half? Maybe just to get in line for a couple.
Jake was oh, I'm gonna leave you here, and I'm I don't
know. Swag, man.
The swag.
Yeah. I talked myself out of fucking Death Stranding T-shirts and everything, but hey.
Hey man, that's a fan. That's dedication.
That's right. Okay,
guys.
Anyway.
Well, starting this, my little spiel here is what the purpose of this podcast is just 3 of us at least for now. We're probably gonna invite some other people in the future. Anybody else that's kind of got a passion like this for games, but we're just a group of game fans. We're all interested in the video game landscape. We all already pretty much talk about this shit daily, so we're just kind of putting it in video form.
Yes. Yeah.
We're really going to focus on video game announcements, news, controversies, our thoughts and opinions on all this kind of stuff. That's what this podcast is going to be. And then there's also a few segments that have been included courtesy of Mr. Brandon here that have been designed to spark a debate between us. So can't wait to get to them.
Spicing it up.
Already. I just met this guy and we're already going to
We're going to fight it out.
Yes, that's right.
All right, guys. Well, for starters, what are you playing this week? Brandon.
All right, so great timing. I actually just got to the end credits of Dragon Quest XI S Echoes of Elusive Age Definitive Edition last night before I went to bed. That is an incredible game. It is actually my first Dragon Quest game I've ever played, and it is about as JRPG as you can possibly get. Super charming. Jake, I know I was telling you this. I honestly think some of the best JRPG characters in your party that I've ever played with. Amazing voice acting, amazing production value. And I'm one of the lucky few that gets to play the S version, which has orchestrated soundtrack, a couple extra additions. And what's really cool about the Switch version, again, I'm not a huge Dragon Quest fan, so it's a little bit lost on me, but they added this entire world that is entirely 16-bit, and it's referencing every past Dragon Quest game. So you're going to, the world of Dragon Quest 1, the world of Dragon Quest 2. And so, if you were nostalgic for the series, you'd be freaking out. I was oh, this is cool. I bet this guy was important in that game. Having a great time with it. It's one of those things where I think the thing that people talk about when you hear about Dragon Quest games is the length. And we were joking about this. You can download the demo for free, and it's a 10-hour demo, right? If you really spend your time on it.
Yeah.
But what I will say, I've played a lot of long games in my life. I think there definitely are like lulls in the story, but it does a pretty good job of pacing. And like I'm wrapped up, I'm about 100 hours in this game, but I'm like a completionist. And the caveat here, like without spoilers, I won't spoil it for you guys. There's definitely like a halfway, you like think you're done with the game, and it's like, yo, surprise! There's like a whole nother fucking game. Like this game is long. So
I love that. So it's like a Final Fantasy
final
6.
boss.
Yeah.
Bingo. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Well, Final Fantasy 6 is like World of Ruin. It's like, okay, like you basically know like you have to beat Kefka, right? Like that is the game is not
Yeah,
over.
okay. That's right.
Versus this, you're like, oh great, like we beat the final boss, and then you're like going through the world and there's like little changes and you're like, wait, hold on, like there's this other thing I can do, and then you kind of like unravel the string and you're like, oh, just kidding, there's a whole nother like 30 hours of this game.
Wow.
So it's really, really
That's
cool
meaty.
how they do it. It's meaty. The one thing I'll say, like I said, the orchestrated music is great. The only thing that's like a little, like after 100 hours, a lot of the themes are similar between locations. So like the world theme is just like the world theme. You go outside of a town, it's like dun 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 dun, like great Dragon Quest theme, it's awesome. But like that over and over and over every time you leave. With like a few exceptions, and like a lot of the towns sound the same. There are a couple different town themes, like different parts of the story, the theme changes. And the only other thing, and this is like more of a personal preference thing, and it's funny, I was thinking about this, because like I love Zelda games, like if you couldn't tell from my shirt, and I think the reason I've always had an issue with Zelda games from a story perspective is the silent protagonist. And it's not like a huge thing on like Zelda games because like it's not so much about the story. Like, I feel like Zelda games are a lot more about the gameplay and it's about like the world. And Dragon Quest is big on the story, right? Everything is fully voice acted. All the cutscenes are fully voice acted. The characters are really, really complex, three-dimensional. They have, you meet them and you like think you know them already, and then there's a lot more depth to them. So they do such a good job of building these characters. And then every time like the main protagonist is in a cutscene, he's just like, oh yeah, cool. Just nodding his head and smiling.
It
And you're
is
like,
a little bit weak.
dude, you're having this like intimate conversation, like we're about to save the world, like people are dying, and Hero's just like,
And his name is Hero.
yeah.
Yep.
His name is.
Well, you
literally-
can name him.
I
I
But
name
everybody
him Hero
just
'cause,
it's
like
like
whatever.
his
But
generic name is Hero, and it's like, oh, okay.
yeah,
Hero
it's like
joins the
like
battle.
Zelda, it's like a character, it's character entry, so it's like whatever you want to name this guy. But it's so funny, and not to spoil anything, there's literally a part in the game where they're about to say the name of the character, because like the whole thing is voice acted. So they're like, wow, I can't wait, or like here's this person, you're about to say your name, and they like sneeze over the like the voice track of your name. You're like, all right, that's your name.
smart.
Like
That's
yeah,
smart.
like they did a good job of
Yeah,
it. But
yeah.
but it's so funny. Like everyone's like, wow, you're like such a nice guy, or like thank you so much for like telling me all this stuff, and you're just like, yeah.
At least
I agree
At least
by
they handled
nodding.
it like
That's fine.
smartly. At least they did it smart, because like
Yeah,
normally, normally people would be like, "Hey, you,"
Right. Yeah. Or no, well, what they do is they call you Luminary. Like that's the thing. Like,
okay.
oh, you're the
Luminary, your
Luminary.
title.
So like that's how they get around it, right? It's like your name.
Yeah.
Who cares what they actually called you? You're the Luminary, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, all in all, like I said, I loved the game. First Dragon Quest, very traditional. So the other thing I'll say before I wrap it up, I think it does a very good job of modernizing a lot of like JRPG tropes. So I know Jake and you and I are talking about how like these re-released Final Fantasy games on like Switch and things, they're always adding in the ability to fast forward battles, or like raise your experience level to like 99.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those quality of life things, because like, man, I've played a lot of JRPGs, a lot of turn-based JRPGs.
It's hard to go back.
Just like grinding through, and I'm not a huge fan of random battles. So every enemy is on the world map. If you want to fight them, great. Honestly, there's dungeons you can just cruise through and just fight the boss. It's like the coolest thing, that you don't have to like mess with all like the enemies. So from that perspective, they did a really good job of like, hey, you want to speed up battles? Great, go ahead. You want to warp everywhere you want to go? Great, go ahead. So a lot of the things that would traditionally like bug me, especially about a 100-hour JRPG, I was like, you know what? That's cool. Like I got to the point like in the end game where I was like, all right, I just want to like get some levels before I like fight the final boss. Fast battles, and you can literally, there's a setting to make all your party, including your own protagonist, just like do whatever move they think is best. It's like, all right, just do whatever you want. I'm just gonna sit here and enjoy how cool the battles look.
Nice,
So
nice.
it really doesn't, like, if you want to slow it down, do super normal speed and like pick every move for every character, you can do that. But it's also flexible to the point where it's like, okay, I've played this game for 90 hours. I just want a couple levels.
70, 80,
I know what these
90
guys are
hours.
gonna look like.
Yeah.
Yeah, just fucking just play the
Jake,
game for me.
weren't we talking about this like the other day? Were we saying like, oh, because like in
travel stuff.
Earthbound, remember we were talking about in Earthbound, like the SNES Earthbound, if the game detects that you're way over leveled for that particular battle. I don't know, Brandon, if you remember this or
You're
not.
dead. Yeah, it just you don't even fight the enemy. It's like, oh, the enemy's dead.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if
you
only they
can
could
like
put
ride
that
on
in
a
everything.
horse, and if you ride over enemies, it dies in this one too. So it's like a similar thing.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, perfect. Like I was like, why can't they put that in every like JRPG? It would have made grinding so much easier.
I've only played like 5 hours of it.
You know,
like I've not played a ton of it, but from what I did see, if you see a slime and you're already a couple levels in, you can just run them over.
Run him over with a horse, dude. I'm not trying to fuck with this slime right
yeah,
now.
Yeah.
Like, get out of here.
The horse like, fuck you.
You actually get experience.
Yeah, you do. Like, I think it's a fraction of what you actually would from a real battle. I don't know. I didn't compare the two, but it feels like it's less. I don't know.
That makes sense. It's pretty easy. It turns a 3-minute battle with basically cutscenes where you just do one attack into like a second.
Seconds,
so,
dude.
Yeah.
Seconds.
Is that the only game you played, or did you hop on anything else?
The only other game that I've been playing, a lot of Dragon Quest, obviously, so I'm probably going to move on to something else after that, now that I've wrapped. I'm probably going to play it for like another hour, just to like wrap up a couple loose ends. The other thing I've been playing is the Terry Bogard DLC for Smash. Huge Smash fan.
Nice.
As Jake knows, like that is the one, like I'm not a competitive gamer, but I'll kick all your asses at Smash. Like that's my one game.
That's true.
I'm
still telling you, we have a coworker, dude, that he might put you.
Dude.
He rocks me about how you rock me. You're about the same, so I'd like to see that, Darren. I'd like to see.
Man.
We'll see.
Yeah,
that'll be a future Warcry Games versus showdown, dude.
Oh,
pretty nice.
I'm glad you know who Terry Bogard is.
Well,
a lot of kids
I'll be honest. Like I didn't grow up with the Neo Geo and like SNK and like all that stuff. So I really didn't know. I've like heard of him, but I was like, like what's the thing? And I actually think if you guys watched the Nintendo Direct that Sakurai did, he does a really good job of explaining the history and importance of this character. It's like, okay, I grew up playing him in the arcades. Like, this is why he's important. Here's the best games I recommend playing in the series. But, man, I'm a Smash fan. So you throw characters into Smash, like, I'm going to learn all about them. I'm going to figure out their moveset. Right. And they did a really, really, really good job with him. His moveset is very unique. It's kind of a cross between, like, Ryu and, like, Captain Falcon, kind of those, like, melee brawlers. But he's got like weird tweaks where like no other character has a back B, like a back special. If you hold away from the opponent and push B, it's the side special. But Terry Bogard, if you're facing the opponent and hold away, it's a different special. So it's like a completely new move that nobody else has. He's got some like command inputs like Ryu. So if you do like quarter circle forward, then that does a special version of a move. So some things that are like in there for fighting game vets, if you've played Terry in a King of Fighters game, then you're going to come loving the Smash iteration of it. And as always, like they do a really good job with fan service. They throw in a bunch of spirits from his games, like, hey, fight this character with this personality, and here's his stage. And dude, they put 50 music tracks in this DLC from random SNK games. It's like crazy. Like Metal Slug tracks thrown in here. I played Metal Slug games, so I can like appreciate that. But I just think every time they release new DLC for Smash, just the attention to detail and like the care that team has for the series that they're bringing it from is second to none.
I actually liked World of Light for that. I mean, it got a lot of flack, and I kind of get some of the criticism, but I liked how you can go and face. They color coordinated the different bosses to make it seem like you were fighting like what? Who the hell's the Street Fighter guy? Not Baraka.
Blanca?
Blanca? Yeah, it's like they make
Donkey
Kong green?
Like lizard dude?
Yeah, like they did that with a lot of different stuff. I was like, I can actually appreciate what they did with all that.
Yeah, dude, those guys are just so much respect for the entire industry, not just Nintendo characters.
Yeah, it took a lot of work. But what about you, John? What are you playing? What'd you play this last week? I already know, but
for the viewers at home, man, we gotta know.
Besides my daily crack dose of Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
We don't want to get too much into that because basically that's like...
Okay, we can.
Guys, really.
It's a pretty nice game, but...
Well, Jake, I haven't really finished a single player campaign yet. But, I've been just heavily, deeply, like, almost hopelessly addicted to multiplayer at this point. It's COD. It's COD. It's fucking, it's crack. You hate it. You hate yourself for playing it. But goddamn, if you just can't keep coming to that game every night.
Yeah. Have you prestiged yet? Very important question.
So this game's a little bit different in past Call of Duties. Before you would get to like level 55, and then it would say, "Oh, would you like prestige for an extra, slot of customization?"
And you do the whole thing over again with a special little skin.
This one, you just keep going. You just keep going all the way to 100. I think it's like 155 or whatever. They just keep going up through the ranks. They have
keep adding more ranks.
Right. Well, they have like 4 levels of like Master Sergeant or whatever. So I think that's how they get around that instead of like those.
So what's the point that you have every gun? Because I looked at it as like, all right, every 55 I got every gun. I don't really need prestige, right? At what point do you have every gun you can get?
It's well above where I'm at, so I don't know.
Don't know. Like it's above 55. There are some things that you haven't unlocked.
Like you can upgrade them. Like your weapons rank up.
Right. It's the gunsmith really is what it is, and compared to previous Call of Duties, before you would have like maybe a smattering of scopes, maybe 4 or 5 scopes, but now you have fucking like at least 20 scopes for each gun. Yeah. So you can literally go to town and you can choose up to 5 customizations.
Yeah, 5 different options. Like a 4-grip, you can get a scope, you can get a different like special ability for the gun. You can there's so many different attachments. So,
and there's a perk for each gun too. Yeah. So now before sleight of hand used to be like a perk on the player itself, but now sleight of hand it's treated as an attachment, so it actually occupies one of those 5 slots.
Yeah.
Right, faster reloads. Yeah. So I mean, it's just like I said, it's something that you just put in front of grown men in their 20s and 30s, and then they would just be perfectly fine with for hours on end.
All right, how many 12-year-olds have you faced?
It's Japan, man. Over here, like nobody talks. Like you can't tell. We usually just hop in a party together. But if I'm not in a party,
I bet you 9 out of 10 of those guys are just like 12-year-olds, just hanging out.
Just kicking your ass, man.
Yeah.
Just kicking your ass. Yeah. So besides Call of Duty, because we can be here all night talking about Call of Duty. Death Stranding. Come on. Was that any surprise?
Yeah.
Death Stranding.
Very curious to hear your opinions on this.
So, you haven't picked it up yet?
Okay.
So I don't have a PS4,
should we spoil it?
I'll likely pick it up when it comes to PC.
So
yeah, if possible.
If possible without spoilers. Well, how do I put this? Well, when I first heard the game is described to me, I thought it was the boringest shit ever, and I just wasted $60. And even describing it to people, you're Sam, you're a delivery guy, you're a porter, and no shit, the main crux of the game is just delivering things from point A to point B. It is a game completely built on fetch quests. But goddamn, if it isn't the most addictive thing I have had since, but next to Call of Duty. There is combat.
Obviously.
There is combat in there. There's combat, but it's not.
But is it good combat?
It's secondary.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. It's boring.
Right.
It's literally combat. It's combat. I would say it's like combat realistic, And what I mean by that is that you're not obviously gonna be assaulting a camp full of vagrants with a pistol and expect to come out alive on the other end. So every conflict is basically realistic in that you only fight if you really have to. Your first and your best choice is to run. And only when you're cornered
is like stealth a big part of it? I mean, does it feel like a Metal Gear game?
Yeah. It's Kojima. So he can't get away from the stealth.
But you say it feels like Kojima. I'm thinking like long ass cutscenes, crazy ass story.
There are long ass cutscenes.
Are you?
There are. Yeah. So there's no getting away from that. Be prepared to relive your MGS4 days of taking the controller and be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna put this on the coffee table.
All right, an hour and a half. Here we go. Here we go.
So
best movie of the year. I mean, game.
Yeah.
Wait.
But I mean,
Yeah.
like, you know, go ahead. Sorry, good.
I was gonna say, like, combat-wise, like you're saying it's realistic. So do you not have like regenerating health? Like, how does ammo work? Like,
no.
help me understand like what combat feels like.
Right now, I'm only in chapter 3. So right now, the weapons that I have are basically grenades. You use grenades to. This is gonna get really weird, but without spoiling anything.
Sure.
You have grenades that are based on your bodily fluids. So
Yeah, you do.
There's a number 1 grenade. There's a number 2 grenade. You know, I'll let you just think of that for a second. What those might be.
This is ridiculous.
There's an EX grenade, which is based off of the shower water from your bath water, basically.
Of course,
they take your bath water, of course, and then they have these special, I mean, for lack of a better term, blood grenades. They take your blood and use them to throw it at. Sam is like this superhuman guy. He's special. So the enemies
He can
in this
just
game,
pee
they're
and
called
poop
DTs.
all day.
Yeah,
I mean that's
right.
special power right there.
Well, and that's what his power. That's what he uses to attack the BTs. The BTs are these like ghost-like things. Well, they're like these ghost things that roam the world. Again, I don't want to go too much into the story because
we'll get
reasons. But
I feel like I've seen enough of it to like have an idea of like what you're talking about.
But yeah, I mean, like, and in terms of like melee weapons, he has a rope that's also fashioned out of his own blood. Again,
Nice.
Kojima reasons.
Nice.
And he uses that. You pull it taut like that, and you use that to creep up behind enemies and just strangle them and whatnot.
Oh,
I mean,
shit.
there's that
Like Hitman style.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's takedowns, just like Metal Gear Solid. I mean, you could tell Kojima didn't want to completely let go of the stealth aspect of it.
Yeah,
especially
and the combat sounds like
right.
Talk about
but then again.
Like the liking system, the ambience, the music.
Oh yeah. Okay. So
like, that's,
I completely forgot about it.
interesting.
So the world, you're technically alone, but you have other porters. Porters are like the delivery people in this world that also deliver shit. Well, these other porters are basically the other players in the game. Now, you don't actually meet up with these other porters, but you can see all of the equipment they left behind. So, for example, if one person builds a bridge across a river, you can go across the river, and then you can hit likes for every bridge that you come across, and it's the whole people in this world want self-gratification kind of thing, or I
bringing
built
people
this. You should
together.
look
That
at
was
it.
like his whole thing, right?
Yeah.
It still is on Twitter
you can't
every day.
you can't thumbs down anything. Oh yeah, well, yeah. You can't thumbs down anything. You can only like stuff. So, but I mean, there's
no negativity. Kojima.
That's kind of
no
cool.
Bashes that into you.
He wants people. He wants people to live peaceful, happy lives. So it is. The more you play it, the more you realize only Kojima could make this game. Nobody else, I think, is. I mean, not from like, oh, he's a genius standpoint, but from
but
like
it's just such a different gameplay experience, right? Like it's unlike any other game that's been made.
Right. He managed to take FedEx and turn it into a genre. So, I mean.
Hey man, it's the Stranding genre, okay?
Yes, that's right. We're gonna call it the Stranding genre. We're gonna refer to this game, just like how we refer to Metroidvania. Anything that's like an exploration type
so
thing.
You played any good Strand games recently, or?
Yeah, exactly.
Top 10 Strand games of 2019. Here we go.
Jeez.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, this is still just like a work. I'm only on chapter 3. So I just unlocked fast travel, but I am loving 150% what I'm seeing so far. I would say, just to sum up what I've said, I would say that I'm in it 100% because of the story and not really because of the gameplay.
What? Right. That was literally my next question. Right. You're chapter 3. Like, how compelling, without spoiler, how compelling is the story in terms of like getting you between those A to B missions. Is that really what's driving you? Or you're like, oh wow, I
Like
really enjoy walking around this world and the environment and things like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Yeah, all of that is super boring. But I just want to get to the next town so that way I can see the next cutscene. If Kojima just made
I know it's Kojima
a movie, I probably would.
I mean,
be
they're going to.
satisfied,
Kojima Productions said they're making movies next, so.
Are they really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they announced that. Yeah.
With Guillermo del Toro as the
Guillermo del Toro.
Well, for mine, just moving on, trying to expedite it a little bit. We're only on the first segment of like 7. We're like half an hour in.
Oh shit!
I like looking at your clock in the back, dude. 23:36. It's a legit clock, and I'm like, oh man, we're a minute into it.
Yeah.
Slowing down.
I did this intentionally so that way we can see how much time we're wasting on a particular thing, so I can keep you on
Jake,
check.
you can edit it in post.
Yeah.
Just cut my entire portion out.
Well, I mean,
you can see this clock
you were here for like 3 seconds, dude. Just in and out.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Dragon Quest.
For my game, so obviously for the channel, I'm still working through Astral Chain. I actually started I don't remember if it was late August, day one, whenever it was released, late August, early September. Every couple days I'll post another video. I'm almost done with that. I think I'm in the final little home stretch. The story's coming together. I still think it's good. I've played Bayonetta 1, played Bayonetta 2. I've played the beginning of Nier Automata twice. The game crashed on me each time, and I rage quit. So I got to find the community patch. I got to download it. I'll probably end up doing that soon. It was the top of my Let's Play Next list, and that's what I was starting to do, and I was recording it, and it just kept friggin' crashing in Steam. So I was like, okay, we'll just do the next best thing, and Platinum Games is releasing another game right now, so... I jumped on that.
Might as well, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, anybody who's following the channel can just see the last 32 episodes that I have. So besides that, on the side, I'm playing Fire Emblem Three Houses, and I'm having a really good time with that. I know Brandon's already played through it. You've already beaten at least one house storyline.
I'm going to come back to the other houses, but I did beat one house.
Were you Blue Lions? Or were you Golden... What deer is it?
Nah, dude. Red Eagles.
Oh, okay, dude. Same. I got Red Eagles.
Yeah, I know. We were talking about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're still early, so I can't say anything.
Yeah.
Just play that game and experience that game.
Yeah. I mean, I'm enjoying it so far. So again, no spoilers, for anybody who might be watching, but it's super interesting. I've never played a Fire Emblem game, so I'm entering in this completely new. I'm doing the classic mode, not the casual, I believe it is. So
where people come back.
Kill a character,
yeah.
So you do have a couple chances in the beginning of the game to somebody died, you can go back a couple turns to reposition your troops. But after that, they're gone. They're gone. So I'm, only recently in the last battle that I had, which is your 5th or 6th encounter, one of my troops went down. Somebody with super low health, I got hit 3 times in a row. And that's when I was like, oh, I really have to start paying attention to this. She can't be anywhere near, she's great long distance. She cannot be anywhere near that front line. So now I'm starting to pack her towards the end or towards the back. But it's fun.
It's the most complicated game of chess you'll ever play.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So somebody dies in Fire Emblem. Obviously, you can't get him back, but you have a spot now. You need to refill, right? When you bring somebody in new, you have to train him from basically nothing.
I haven't encountered that yet, so I don't know. I know you can recruit people in. You can go get to know people, and if you have this guy values strength and lance or something. If you go up those skills for yourself, he's going to be drawn towards you, so you can recruit him to your party. I don't know what level he starts at, what his skills are.
Yeah, I was going to say the way they mitigate that, to my understanding, when you recruit a new character, they don't typically start at level 1. And so the Fire Emblem games do a pretty good job of giving you new characters to recruit. This character joined your party, this character joined your party. And every time they do that, just like a traditional RPG, they're not coming in at level 1, they're coming in at level 30 or something, right? So even if one of your guys dies, now, the one thing I will say, a character that you've grown from day 1 will almost always be superior to someone that you just got. Because you've invested points in such a way, you've grown them in such a way. But a lot of the times you'll get characters that are still pretty good, stand-ins for the characters that you lost.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it's not completely like, oh, well, you should have
Level
luck.
1, start over.
Good job.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But it's been interesting.
And
Like I'm starting to get like
Jake, I don't know if you've encountered this, but I was gonna say in this one you can do these side battles, and so you can kind of like grind up some of your characters. That's newer to the franchise. Like the ability to do these like side maps to like grind up levels was not there.
Right before we started this podcast, that's what I was doing is like a side mission. You have to do it on your day off, I think, and it uses some of your time. But I mean, that's what I was doing because you'll even get quests from some people sometimes, like, hey, these bandits just entered this area. The one I'm on now is like, hey, if you knock these bandits out, higher level merchants will come into your town and start selling you stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. So that's the one that I'm messing with now. The thing I'm actually liking most about it, like the combat's okay. You know, like I'm not a huge strategy RPG person. It's been a while. Final Fantasy Tactics, which I really did like. That's like the last one I played.
Yeah, dude.
But so the thing with this I'm really liking is, which from my understanding from somebody else who told me it's not in past games, but you have, actually it was you, John, I think you told me this. It's the overworld, or not the overworld, the monastery that you can go and like free roam around in. And that's awesome.
Yep,
like
that's
I like, okay, I know where
new.
all the students hang out. I know my character Bernadetta, she's going to go chill in her dorm and she's not coming out. That's her personality. She's just going to do that. I know where she is all times. Like she's going to be there. And I can go talk to her. You always have some conversation, or you can invite her to tea, or you can do like some sort of small interaction. I love how the game is shifting towards you have to get to know these people to effectively get to know them better, if that makes any sense. Like their support interactions between them.
It's a big thing, man.
Yeah, and I
Supporting
really
Fire
like that.
Emblem games has always been a big thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. You know, like I feel like I've missed out on like this whole series. You know, like I've never gotten into it because I knew it was strategy RPG, and I was like, I don't want to think.
Wait, didn't you revive, or you used up one of your what do you call those, like second chances or whatever, to revive Bernadetta?
Yeah, the time wheel.
Yeah, it was Bernadetta. That's who it was. She was weak. She was like, she had low health.
Yo, don't let Bernie die, dude.
Yeah, so I had to go back.
Jake, you're too nice. You're too nice, Jake. Because I
let her die?
Like, you never come out of your dorm room. This is your punishment. This is what you get. Now
dude.
Dude,
that's the thing about these Fire Emblem games. Like very deep characters. Like if you actually raise Bernie's support conversations and like get a lot of her dialogue, you're like, oh, like why is she so quiet? Like why is she so shy? They're very three-dimensional characters also.
I'm starting to get that. Like now that I'm in like the next, they're ranking up slowly, and then they'll be like, hey, this person wants to chat with you. Do you have time now? And you get to know them, and then there's even more like at tea time.
You learn a lot about these characters.
Yeah, and so I'm starting to get that feel.
All right, who's your favorite character so far? Very important.
No, okay, of my students or just anybody in the game?
Anyone.
And it's not going to be something like I'm going to tell you and they're like, oh, they die in the next chapter or something. I'm trying to think.
No, I'm not going to spoil anything, dude.
I'm trying to run through some of my class roster. I do like Dorothy. She's not my favorite. She's got an interesting personality. Like she straight up tells a guy to his face, like, oh, I hate you. Like, I just don't like you. And she's like, well, why do you not like me?
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead and figure it out, and walks off. I'm like, yeah, that's interesting. I'm starting to get to know my house leader a lot better, and that's the reason I chose her. Was
Edelgard?
Edelgard. I'm starting to get to know her a little bit better. My most recent support thing, not spoiling anything, but she opened up to me. This is the first time that she's ever opened up, and like that made me like start liking her a lot more. Always it's been like Bernadetta up until like this point. I've liked her little quiet nature. I like how she spazzes.
Healing
she gets
it
nervous.
back, man.
Yeah. So like I'd probably have always said Bernadetta up until now, and then now I'm thinking more like Edelgard is the one I'm navigating towards, because I'm super curious about her backstory now. Some of the other ones like I want to know, but they've not gotten to that level yet with me. So I'd probably say Edelgard next in line for the throne. She's got like these pressure on her shoulders. It's not spoiling anything, but her backstory is like she's lost family in the past. There's a certain amount of like family members she's lost, and I have no idea what happens of this. This is just like part of the story. She's like, hey, this is something that's happened, and then like the next thing that she says
Raise
after
that support, buddy.
Huh? Yeah, the next thing she says after
Raise
that's
that
like,
support,
yeah,
buddy.
yeah, that's what I got to do, at least to get to know her a little bit better. But yeah, that's enough of Fire Emblem. But basically, I've been enjoying it. It's something that like I dived a couple hours into. I actually started Dragon Quest like a month ago. I got 5 hours into the demo, waited on it to come in. But in that time frame before it was released, I just started picking up Fire Emblem. So I'm gonna finish that, and then after Fire Emblem's done, I'm gonna start on Dragon Quest. So I'm glad to hear that. It at least matches what I think.
Both those games, man.
Biggest thing, Kira Toriyama, since he's actually involved in the character creations and like part of the story, and he's been part of that dream team since day one. I'm interested in playing it, so I already know I'm going to love it from the little bit of time I've played. And Call of Duty with John, this is my crack as well. Not played a Call of Duty game since Modern Warfare 3 and then Ghosts. I played a little bit of Ghosts, and that's been it. And I was dead. It was like not fun to me. I've platinumed this game. I've done all the story mode 3 times. Completely beaten through the story mode. Completely did all the challenges. Beat it on veteran. Did everything. And then now I'm leveling up with John and multiplayer every other day or so. But that's been what I've been playing.
So can I say something?
Yeah.
I forgot to do one more game.
Yeah.
In my what you've been playing, and I'm wondering if you guys ever played this too. Link's Awakening, Nintendo Switch version.
We're gonna get into it. I love Link's Awakening. The OG was actually the first video game I ever played, so I'm super, super, super nostalgic.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was telling Jake about I don't know how many of your listeners know this or not, but remember this is a side project of a bunch of people, and it was kind of like a pet project. It was the after school club, just like Mega Man 2. Anything that was a side project, after school club was a passion project. It was really awesome, and guess what? And a lot of them liked, what do you call it? A lot of them liked SimCity. So you saw SimCity characters in there. A lot of them liked Mario games, so that's why you saw all the Mario references. So really loving it. But the only reason why I wanted to chime in about Legend of Zelda is to complain.
I know what it is.
Ooh.
The frame rate.
Yeah.
I didn't think I would mind, but holy crap. Is that thing really distracting sometimes? It is way inconsistent. I don't know, Brandon, if you noticed that. Did you play it or?
Yeah, I beat it. I acknowledge the frame rate. I don't think it ruined the experience for me, is what I'll put it.
Okay.
I noticed that you go through towns. It's like, all right, it's just like, I don't know, frame rate. If you're still, I don't think it drops below 30. I think it jumps between the kind of like the 60 and 30, right? Which is like a little jarring. But as long as you're not watching a slideshow, it's never like been a huge thing for me.
Yeah, it's just weird because it chugs when you don't think that there's a lot that's going on. There must be like some background loading or something.
Yeah,
that's going on.
I think it has to do with like the loading of environments because unlike the original Game Boy game, you don't have distinct screens. You're just consistently loading the map. And I think the way it was
You're
optimized,
not sliding over and then
doesn't lend well to that. Right.
Yeah. Did you do the Dampy's dungeon? Did you like create any?
Yep, I 100%ed it. Yeah, I did everything.
Wow.
Every single thing.
The color dungeons too?
I mean, I'm a fiend, dude. Color Dungeon. Yeah, I love Zelda, dude. I mean, Link's Awakening, I told you, is like one of my favorite games of all time. That was like I got like the Dreamers edition. Like I'm hardcore and that stuff.
Wow.
But
yeah, I would say like
I agree. I
think I think that's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the best 2D Zeldas. That and Link Between Worlds are really up there.
Yeah.
All right, so...
All right, sorry. Anyways, I'll let you move on.
No, you good, guys. I'm
looking
forward to this.
This,
this could tie into this because I've seen at least the opening cinematic to Link's Awakening, but this comes courtesy via Brandon here. The best bit is what the segment's going to be called. And what is the best opening sequence in a video game? Any volunteers to start?
Oh, I think I know what Brandon's going to say, but we'll let him talk.
All right, Brandon. You've been volunteered.
All right, so I got a couple here. Okay. I was thinking a lot about this. I have a number one, but we're going to get through some honorable mentions before we get there. So honorable mentions, I think Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3 both have really cool. So Metal Gear Solid 2, you're jumping off that bridge. Amazing cinematic soundtrack. You're hopping on that tanker. You land down, the camo flashes, and Snake's just a badass, right? It's a great way to start that game, especially coming from MGS1. MGS3, that is like the music, same kind of thing. You're jumping out of an airplane. Your colonel's like, hey, Snake, this is a big deal, blah, blah, blah. This is going to be like the Cold War, blah, blah, blah. And the cinematic and just like the way that Kojima creates that environment, the atmosphere, and especially like that opening mission is just like really, really throws you in there. Now, the one thing I'll say, John got hopped off. There you go.
Sorry.
The one thing I'll say about openings, as I'm like trying to like evaluate, I think an opening needs to be a few things. It needs to set the tone, number one, but I also think it should encourage like actually playing the game. And so some of these I'm going to run down through, like I don't think are like a good snippet of the game. So another one I thought about, BioShock.
Yeah. First one?
These are all, we're going to get to my number one.
Yeah.
The first BioShock is an awesome opening. Like, well, you know, you're going down, you see Rapture, you've got the Andrew Ryan voiceover. It's like, oh shit, like this utopia, blah, blah, blah. But again, my issue with the BioShock opening, you're not really playing the opening. You're watching the opening. But great music, great sound, great environments. You're going down, you really get a feel for the world. Another one I thought of, Super Metroid. You get to that space, the last Metroid is in captivity. You get to the space station, it's so ominous, really setting the tone, like, oh man, like I don't know what's going on, I'm a little scared right now. You find the Metroid, Ridley coming in hot, freaking you out. But again, you're kind of just like jumping around, you're kind of like shooting a little bit, but you're not like facing enemies. And then you get to Planet Zebes, and it's like, all right, now the game is kind of starting. But the opening I would consider like that first section with Ridley and the Metroid, but really not much gameplay. The next one that I would consider an honorable mention, Super Mario 64. I think great opening theme song, dun 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 dun, like really getting you hyped for this game. You start outside of the castle, which I think is a really, really interesting way to do it. There's no music around you. It's just like the environmental sounds, and so you're just like, what's going on? Like, we're at Peach's castle. Where is everybody? Oh, let me like jump around. And I think the outside of Peach's castle is like the most fun playground that you have.
Explore,
you're just like figuring out how to jump. You're figuring out how to backflip. And it's like even showing like, and I love that like Nintendo and Miyamoto are like willing to like contextualize the camera. It's like, oh, it's a Lakitu that's like following you around. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Thank you for like putting that context to this. So again, story-wise, like not groundbreaking, but just like a really cool opening area. Yeah. We were just talked about it. Link to the Past is another great opening. Like the Night of the Falling Rain. You know, you gotta go follow like your uncle, right? You gotta go follow your uncle. You gotta go save the princess. You get this dream. You wake up from this dream. That music, again, setting the tone. This is a serious business game, right? Unlike a lot of Zelda openings, they're like, oh, you open on a farm or like you open in your town. You wake up from bed, like immediately throwing you into this game, saying like, hey, this is a big deal. You need to save the princess. Your uncle is gone, and then you run into your uncle, and he's like, you know, he's slouched over on the floor, like, oh, like, save the princess, like, I couldn't do it, like, please, like, take up the mantle. It's this idea that, like, throwing you into it, like, you feel a sense of responsibility already. All right, just a couple more honorable mentions. Arkham Asylum, really, really cool, walking through, following the Joker, seeing all the bad guys you're about to fight. Like, oh shit, this game is gonna be crazy. Like, all these crazy Batman enemies. I'm not even a huge Batman fan, but the way that they do that opening, where you're just going, like, following the Joker, really setting the tone, setting the pace. But again, not much gameplay, mostly just watching it. Resident Evil 4, really, really cool. You're going into the village. You see that chainsaw guy. The only caveat here with Resident Evil 4, yeah, I know, Jake and I played this together. Caveat for Resident Evil, technically speaking, you could actually avoid that cutscene and that house that you like are pushing. Yeah, you can avoid, if you don't go in that house, that cutscene doesn't trigger. And if you just kill all the enemies like after enough time, the bell rings and you skip that. So I'm like kind of like dinging that one.
Mind blown.
No.
That is such an iconic entry, but like you can
all right,
skip
booting
like,
up Resident Evil 4 and I need to
yeah, you don't have to go in that house. If you just like use your pistol and just walk around and kill enough enemies, the bell will eventually ring. And the chainsaw guy will never come, and you like can get the shotgun later. And so I was like, I'm disqualifying that from like top. Last one before we get to my number one, God of War 3. Wow, holy shit. So I don't know if you guys have played the God of War series. God of War 1, I played one, amazing game.
Awesome.
2 games.
Yeah, so let me paint the picture here. God of War 2 ends with you scaling Mount Olympus on the back of Titans. And you're like, oh, fuck you, like, Zeus and gods, like, we're gonna kill you next game. Credits roll. God of War 3 opens literally right there. You are on the back of Titans, and you're like, you're climbing on, but it's like Gaia. She's like climbing up Mount Olympus, and you're on her back. And then Poseidon is like, "Nah, bitch, we quitting this right now." Comes down with his like crazy chariot of like water horse things, and the opening, it is just like, watch it or just like figure out a way to play it. The opening boss of God of War 3 is one of the craziest bosses. Extremely brutal, extremely visceral, just an amazing fight. So that almost was my number one, just because story wise throws you in there like, yo, this game you are gonna fuck up some gods. Like, this is no joke. And gameplay wise, you are immediately killing things, you are immediately fighting like a huge ass boss, which is what God of War is all about. My number one video game opening, The Last of Us. This game hits you hard. And the reason have you guys both played Last of Us or no?
Yeah.
I haven't finished it, but yeah.
Dude, this was I chose two.
Okay, so you played the opening. So you know the opening.
Yeah, I played the opening. Yeah, I know the opening.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you get that.
All I'll say the opening, it is the perfect marriage, again, of gameplay, story, and like setting the tone. Right, you are immediately thrust. You care about these characters immediately. What's going on? Like, I gotta get my bearings. I gotta figure out how to play this game, and it like does a good job of like showing you how to play the game. But then, oh, by the way, the end of that gut wrenching heart, like, it just hits you so hard. That sets the tone so well for the rest of that game, and I'll never forget it. I don't even think it's not my favorite game of all time, but just the way that sets the tone for the rest of the game is like unlike anything else I've ever played.
So piggybacking off that, I chose two intentionally. I didn't get any honorable mentions. I did think about doing that for a second, but I was back and forth on my number one and number two for a while. Like, this took a little bit, and I had to go through the opening sequence again to like feel what I felt when I first played that game. So I just popped them up on YouTube again. So before I did this, I went to my game library. I started looking around. I was checking out my Super Nintendo games, N64 games, anything that was nostalgic on like, say, 360. I'm like going through everything, and I'm like, which one is it? Which one is it? And I had to come up with my number one is Dragon Ball Z Sagas for the original X. No, I'm kidding. No. So no, this is not it. This is not it. Dude, this was horrible. This was a crappy game. I've even reviewed it on my channel, so you can kind of go see a couple 30 minutes gameplay of me on that. No, but my number one I came up with was Last of Us, and this was the number one. And I went through the whole sequence again, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is gonna be the one I'm gonna select, because I remember how I felt going through that. And I didn't play. I played the OG one, but didn't finish it. And then I got the remastered version a couple years later and played through the whole thing.
Remastered, yeah.
And I'm really, really glad I did. It was just, I don't know why I stopped the first time. I have no idea why. But whenever I ended up getting the remastered version, I pretty much played it within like 2 days. Like, it was back to back. Like, I had to play that thing. I think it was like a Friday night and then Saturday. And I was like, I had to do this. It was great. That opening sequence, like you said, man, like, it hits you hard. Like, I like the transition between you are watching the cutscene, you're watching Joel and Sarah, and then I like where shit's going down. You wake up, you're Sarah, you're wandering around the home. It's creepy as creepy as shit. Like, you can see through the window, like the back sliding glass window. And like, I just get these vibes. Something's wrong. Like, something's wrong. Like, you're in her feet her shoes at this point, and phones are ringing. The uncle calls, and your dad walks in or slams in, and he's like super paranoid. He's like, oh, we have to. Our neighbors or whatever, they're going crazy. We have to start something. Yeah. He's like loading a gun and stuff. And like, imagine yourself as that little kid, because that's who you're playing. Like, that's a heck of like a dramatic opening. And then, of course, I guess without going like too much further into the story, it gets intense. There's a lot of dramatic things that happen from like there on, and it was an amazing opening sequence. But I was back and forth between this one and one other, and it's funny that you mentioned God of War 3, because God of War 2018, which I guess would be the fourth iteration. That was a strong second, and you played that. I'm pretty sure, like, I saw you play that.
Yeah, when you go to the house.
Yeah, I beat it. Yeah,
everything leading up to that, even the opening cinematic is like a axe is sitting next to a tree, or basically you click start and Kratos picks up the axe and he's just standing there. Like, that's it. And then you're like, do something, but you have to do something. Click that button and he starts swinging the axe. It's, oh, whoa, this is the game. Like, this is not cinematic, and like, this is how you enter into the game. Like, okay, I'm playing this, and the whole game is one seamless transition. It's filmed the whole way through. It's really well done like that. But I don't know enough about the backstory of the God of War series, and I still felt like I picked up enough, going through this game. And that intro was we've all played it, and this isn't too spoilery to anybody else because it's like the first 20 minutes of the game. But you immediately get the relationship between you and your son. You immediately get that he's like, Kratos is a hard ass, that his son is just kind of subservient and doesn't have a voice and is trying to just do what his father's saying, that something's wrong, like something's just not right. Downcast is like the mood I would say is being set here. And then you get in the boat after you're chopping down the tree, you go upriver, and then that ominous music that plays when first the boy Atreyu, I believe his name is, he goes Atreus. He goes into the home first, and that's when you see that Kratos' wife, his mom, is dead, just laying there. And again, I have no idea anything, so this is all me experiencing it for the first time. I don't know if this happened in previous games or not, but they show him setting up candles, they show him praying, they show him, like, it's building up the sequence. I mean, who wouldn't feel something for a boy praying over his mom's corpse, like right there, and the camera shifts, it turns around, and the music starts getting dark, like ominous, like real heavy, and you see Kratos just a shadow in the door. It's like,
boy,
yeah, and it's just like that presence, I'm like, this is how this game is going to be like from this point on, and
setting the tone.
The whole game was like that. No spoils from there. I know you're going to play it eventually, Brandon.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's
so. Can I derail this entire podcast for a second?
Do it, man. Let's hear it.
My AirPods.
Yeah.
That I was listening to. The batteries ran out.
Yeah.
So,
Does that affect
you're going to be hearing a little bit of your audio and Brandon's audio, because right now it's coming through the speakers of
Sorry, we'll fix it in post. We'll fix it in post.
All right. You're going to fix it in post?
Yeah, if it's on your audio, I can like tweak it from like settings.
You can just bring down my audio.
Yeah, because we're recording audio separately, so it's fine.
Right. That's what, like, no. What I'm saying is, like, on my Audacity recording, it's picking up now on the mic your guys' is.
Hey, fast and loose. And loose. We'll figure it out.
It's fine, man.
I just figured
Also, for any viewers, it doesn't matter. This is like podcast number 1. I'm sorry, but hey, there's gonna be stuff messing up. Like, my light broke right before this. It's fine. I got this.
Jake, you're going through your whole like intro sequence, and these things just like completely popped out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well. There goes the podcast.
We'll figure it out.
We were using other platforms before this. Like, it doesn't matter. We're just trying to get our thoughts out there. We're just trying to chat, talk about games. That's what's important. Not quality of the video, the audio. Like, that's secondary, and we'll fix it in the future. But yeah, let's. So
I guess it's my turn.
Yeah, let's continue with you.
Okay.
So, your best opening.
Again, I don't have a lot to contribute to this one, since both of you guys pretty much give really strong offerings, especially Brandon with I was gonna say Metal Gear Solid 2, just to piggyback on that.
Yeah.
Man, Harry Gregson Williams, you put his music to anything, and it just makes it epic. I mean, you can't go wrong. Yes, you cannot go wrong with that guy's score, and it's just a mix of that and just the whole, it adds the cinematic feel of it, If you had, I don't know, like, I don't want to poop on anybody's names, but if you just had some like regular old composer that was on Fiverr,
like the way you did
or whatever, it wouldn't have had the same impact. But yeah, definitely that. To add to that though, I would throw in MGS1, Metal Gear Solid 1. Just because it was the first game of its kind to have like when you're playing the first. I mean, in basic game design, just like you mentioned, Brandon, basic game design, you want to set up in the first opening acts how to play the game, what the mood is, So you're already in the dock, if you remember. You're already taking out guys if you want to take out, the soldiers that are in the dock before you get up to that elevator. But, the whole time you're doing this, all of a sudden you'll see, like, produced by Hideo Kojima, just like, I'm playing a movie, guys, I'm playing a movie, It's like, this is so cinematic. Everybody's so blocky, but it still feels real, So, I mean, you get that feeling of like, okay, all right, I know exactly what we're going to get ourselves into.
This is serious business. That's what that says.
Right. And when you guys said openings, I wasn't really thinking about like the gameplay openings per se, but I just thought of like good intros.
Sure.
In general. So again, Zelda Link's Awakening, that whole thing with the storm, and then with Marin finding you on the beach, and then the slow crawl up to the egg, and you realize, where's this egg? What's this I got to do here? I bet you I'm gonna find out pretty soon. And then the logo pops up, Great, like just it's amazing how games like in the early 90s, just were able to create such atmosphere. Reaching back, I'm just thinking Gradius 3, I mean, I don't know how old you guys are, but Gradius 3 had if you get a chance, look at the opening for this. It's an awesome Super Nintendo shooter. It's like your ship,
hardware, like they don't have what they can
you basically
do now.
launch out of your mothership. Yeah, you launch out of your mothership, and you're like at the end of that whole like sequence, you're like, let's go kill some aliens. Like along that same vein, maybe just a couple of years after that, there's a game called Starblade for the arcade. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It was a Namco shooter from 1995, and the first scene after you get your briefing or whatever, it's an on-rails shooter, and it's a space shooter, but everything about the game, like it was one of the first few games that had polygons and that was able to do it smoothly at 60 frames per second. So a lot of the influences of Star Fox came from this Starblade game, and after you get your initial briefing, when you put in your quarters, you see nothing but black, and you see the word scramble just flashing on the screen, and then you see all these sub screens pop up of your engines powering up and your weapon systems powering up. I mean, there's nothing you can do. All you're doing is just sitting there waiting to launch out of your tube. But it's the same feeling from Gradius 3, like, oh, holy shit, yeah, let's kick some ass, let me get out of here.
Awesome.
So again, like look it up later. Just the opening scene. Oh, geez.
All right.
I'm showing my age, aren't I?
Yeah, just a little, man. This arcade game, you poured in some quarters, and
Old
hey, man, that's what that is right there.
Old man John. Oh yeah, I love that Gallagher. That's me. Yeah, that's all me. But yeah, I mean, like again, all you guys when mentioning God of War, especially the God of War opening, solid opening. I don't have much else to contribute besides those, and what else I said. So.
Hey man, good topics. But
That's bit.
Fine. That's that's
Old
good
man
bit,
John.
man.
Old man John's done talking. Kids go.
I like that bit though. I want to revisit that, or like something something similar to it. If not like best intro, maybe best.
But seriously, I mean,
that's
like,
the best bit,
though,
man. That's what it's for.
Yeah, you can't.
It's a recurring segment,
Jake. Not just for the segment, not just for the podcast. Like later on, look it up. Look up the intro, like the first level to Starblade.
Okay.
Like
I'll do it.
1995.
Let's play Starblade. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Go. We'll move on.
All right, guys. Let's move into the next segment. This one's going to be game news. We don't spend like a ton of time on it. It's basically just going to be covering some of the recent gaming news over the past couple weeks. Some bigger stuff, some smaller stuff. I kind of want to get just your guys' thoughts and opinions on it. I'll share my own. But so starting with Pokemon Sword and Shield. I don't think any of you guys have the game yet, but are you guys planning on getting in? No to both?
Well, okay. So, going along with the old man John theme,
Yeah.
I'm not a huge Pokemon guy.
Yeah.
The first red and blue Pokemon came out when I was a junior in high school already. So
This guy.
when
Oh man, John.
so when this came out, I was like, oh yeah, all the kids stuff. That's you kids go play with your Pokemans. You know,
You missed
I'm
out
gonna
on
go play
generation,
Starblade.
man.
You know. So suffice to say, I couldn't keep up with with Pokemon over the years. So
What about you,
Not
Brandon?
picking
Did
it
you
up
end
on
up?
my end.
Did you purchase?
I mean,
Did you play?
it's definitely on my radar. My sister's a huge Pokemon fan, so she's actually been kind of texting me her impressions of it. And she loves it, obviously, because I'm a huge Pokemon fan. I'm kind of on the fence. I want to kind of wait a little bit longer. There's a lot of games right now that like I really, really want to play, like top of my to play list. And so Pokemon, like I just finished this big RPG. I'm kind
Yeah.
of like letting it sit for a little
Yeah.
bit. I'm not discounting it. I mean, we'll probably get into this. Like all of like the controversy like doesn't really bother me as much as I think it bothers a lot of like hardcore Pokemon fans.
Yeah.
Um, I was really big into again like Red, Gold, Silver. I played all the way up to Ruby, like hardcore. Then kind of lapsed for a little bit, and the last one I picked up actually was Let's Play Eevee on Switch. Just kind of like the nostalgia,
Yeah.
the good time, good feels, bringing me back to those days. I have. It's not offensive to me. I think
Sorry,
it definitely like
call
looks
me
like
old.
like a really fun take on the game. I think. I mean, I'm interested in it, but it's just like it's
Yeah.
not the top of the list, is all I'll say.
I'm kind of in I'm not in a completely similar boat. Like that shit's on a plane coming to me now. So yeah,
Well, you're getting
so
it,
it's
yeah.
coming, but it's I got it through Amazon because if you pre-order it, it's $10 off, and I knew I was going to get it anyways, and I know it's a Nintendo IP, so
Jake,
it's not going to
just
drop
admit
me.
it. You just like the physical copies.
Yeah. Hey man, that's what happened with
Love those
Death Stranding. And what did I have to do today? I had to go to the
It's
library.
time to join the digital age.
I had to go to the
Jake
library
Graves.
today to make a request to get Death Stranding because my buddy John didn't have a physical copy to hand to Jake. I'm just saying, man. I've already. Hey, who you got my Golden Sun game? Who's able to do that? I'm just saying. You got I got
You know,
Dan.
okay.
Marvel
All right.
Ultimate Alliance 3. My supervisors borrowing that for now. Hey, that's like a cool part about physical. You can't do it digital. Well, unless it's Steam, but that's
Yeah, Steam Family Share. There we
Yeah,
go. We're all
there we
family.
But yeah, so like I don't know, like it's a library size type thing. Like it's gonna be a bigger file. You know, I've played enough games to where I don't want to be cycling out SD cards constantly. I've got like I'd say
Yeah,
75% physical, 25% digital on the Switch. My PS4 is probably like half and half, like physical and digital. But yeah, back to like Pokemon Sword and Shield. I'm getting Shield. That sucker's on the way, but it's gonna be sitting on the back burner. I'm gonna, like I said, go through Fire Emblem. After that, it's gonna be Dragon Quest. Astral Chain's gonna be done any minute. I'll play 2 to 3 games at a time, anyways. I like switching it up if I get bored of something or just want to try something new for a moment. Causes me to take a lot longer to beat like a lot of certain games, but it keeps me interested. So same thing regarding what Brandon was talking about, just some of the notes I have here. Last Pokemon game I played was Pokemon White 2, which I actually didn't beat. That's the first one I didn't beat. The last one I beat was Pokemon Black, so the iteration right before it. And then, yeah, I played Blue back in the day. That was my first. I fell in love with it. And then, I know I played Heart Gold. I
Jake,
think I
you didn't play Let's Go?
I did. I played Let's Go Eevee. Oh, does that count as the
Yeah,
last one?
that's the most recent one.
It's not like a mainline
I mean,
Pokemon,
all right, it's not a new
but it
new
is like
game, sure,
the last
yeah.
Pokemon game, yeah. So I did play that. That's fun. I got it. I got Eevee as well. So, it's fun. The same reason I got that was the nostalgia feel. I love how you can go talk to that first guy in town, the one who talks about like what technology, and he changes his verbiage around a little bit. You're like, oh, I remember you. I remember this guy from like forever ago, 20-some years ago. And then you go into your room like in the beginning of the game, and instead of it being like a little NES or something, it's a Nintendo Switch. And there's tons of little of that, like throwbacks like throughout the game. I really appreciate that. So I liked it for that. The battling mechanics, not my favorite. Like I love how you can see the Pokemon in the open world, which is why I'm gonna like Shield. but I don't like how it all revolved around you having to throw the ball like in a certain like Pokemon Go style to catch these guys. You could still battle with trainers, with the Elite Four, with the legendary Pokemon app, but then you still have to do the ball sequence. I don't know, but I was a little bit mixed about that. I didn't like I couldn't use my Pro Controller. Like there's a couple of small things like that, but overall I loved the game. You know, it was a good throwback. Besides that, going into the controversies, and we can talk about that for just a minute. I'm on the same wavelength as Brandon. It's not a big deal to me. It's okay. There's no national dex, so no, I can't import all my Pokemon from other games. I didn't play a lot of the recent ones. I'm not that hardcore of a fan. I'm not the type that's going to collect all 800 or 900 of them. So to me, it's not a huge deal. I could understand why people are upset with it if it's that small majority that actually really, really wants to collect everything, which I know is like super, super small majority. Like they have a reason to be upset, and of course they're probably going to vote with their wallets and not buy the game. But as far as the graphics and 3D model controversy goes, though, that's a little bit more interesting. Graphics, from what I've not played it yet, but from what I've been hearing on YouTube a lot, is it's like a PS2 era game in a lot of areas. Like people are booting this thing up. You're going in the wild area and you're seeing, you know, subpar shading. We'll say the trees are low quality. The seagull Pokemon, whatever that thing is just like stationary in the air, is just moving like this and not moving. Like there's not a lot of life when it comes to that. But just the graphics, I guess, is a little bit underwhelming, I guess. I think people were expecting an evolution of the series, kind of like Zelda got, you know, like Breath of the Wild. It's a big iteration on previous games. So they're like, what is, you know, the Pokemon company going to do here? What's Game Freak going to do with this? And
that's not how they operate, man.
Pokemon is like for that. Yeah.
Like my interpretation is the improvements they make are very, very, you know, a very small game to game. Like they'll update some quality of life things, but because they have such a big fan base, I think it would be really, really crazy for them to essentially like reinvent the formula the same way Zelda did. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just feel like their fan base is very, very dedicated to like a very typical like traditional type of game.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. You know, what it comes down to at the end of the day is like it's your money. If you feel like the game's not going to be worth your money, then that's your own choice. It's fine. Like it's fine. It's your own opinion. But yeah, I guess personally for me, it's not an issue. I know, John, you said you haven't played it, so you probably don't care either way. It's not like a big deal, not a factor for you. But
no.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'll let you kids get back to
them Pokemon.
So.
Yo, kids.
Them Pokemon.
The Pokemans, yeah. The Pokemans.
Well, Pokemon aside, we'll move on to Jedi Fallen Order. This is something I know me and John were watching like at work on YouTube the other day, and we were kind of hyping ourselves up and we saw Easy Allies review on it, and like they scored it a 9, and we're like, this is looking pretty good, you know, but we're like, there's a lot of games. You know, I just said there's 3 games I'm playing and a 4th one in the mail. Like I just can't. So I want to, but
dude, this one's going really high on the to play list, and I'll give you 3 reasons why.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Prince of Persia, Dark Souls, Metroid.
Yeah.
God damn it! All right, those are my 3 reasons too.
John's gonna go. He's gonna go buy it digitally, so he can't share with Jake.
Yeah. Actually, it was a tweak of that. I was gonna say like Bloodborne mixed with Metroid, and basically that was, you know, Castlevania and whatnot. So.
Yeah. But Prince of Persia, man, I love that platforming, running on walls, action adventure, man. Just everything I've seen of the game. I was worried that, again, like you just taking reviewers at face value, I was worried that I don't know, like the whole EA controversy, there's going to be some schemey thing on there. Yeah. But it really looks like Respawn did a knockout job. And again, I want to say, I don't want to speculate too much because I don't have first-hand experience with it. So we're just kind of like the news section, right? We're not talking about impressions. Yeah. But definitely interested in picking it up at this point.
What about you, John?
Yeah. Well, definitely like the moment I knew Respawn was doing this game, I thought it was going to be wall running.
Titanfall,
just because it was in Titanfall 2. They took it out of Apex Legends quite intentionally because They didn't want it to
Yeah.
be too much of a Twitch shooter, but when they saw it's running and jumping and stuff like that, I said, wait for it, wall run, and then yeah, so it was a little surprise there. But I mean, again, just like Brandon and you, super excited to play. But Kojima's just got me wrapped around his finger
Got
right
him.
now.
Yeah,
that cod
yeah.
crack.
We'll be hooked on
Yeah,
that.
drinking my Monster Energy,
Yeah.
Those
and,
ads, man.
Yeah, and ready to watch The Ride on AMC, starring Norman Reedus. Remember to watch.
There you go.
You know they do that, Brandon, right? In game.
Oh yeah.
like,
I'm very
okay.
aware. I'm very aware.
Yeah. So, I mean, no shame
No shame.
at all.
No, like it's blatant, and they point to it from what I understand.
Sorry, just to derail the conversation just a little bit. So when you're in your private room, which is kind of like your hub room or whatever, you have a table next to your bed with a bunch of Monster Energies, just lined up there. And it's like you press triangle to drink your Monster Energy, and it actually raises your maximum stamina by like 25 points or whatever. But it goes back down again eventually. So every time you go to your private room, you have to drink like 4 or 5 Monster Energies just to bring it back up to that maximum attainable level again.
I saw their monsters stock go up after that.
No shame, zero shame. The thing that popped in my head, when that happened was like, oh, this reminds me of like the Coleman tents from Final Fantasy 15. If you remember the.
Yeah, right.
And how much I wanted to just get some Coleman chairs, on my Coleman stove. So yeah. Anyways, what the hell was I talking about? Oh yeah, Jedi Fallen Order. So yeah, super excited. Again, I like the way that they did just everything with that game down to the lightsaber customization and everything. I know it's going to be on sale eventually, but it's one of those things where like as soon as I complete Death Stranding,
that's your next one.
I shouldn't say complete. I should say just finish the main story. I'm going to pick it up.
Right on.
That's a good transition into the next little question. With a lightsaber, what color would you choose? This was by request to you. Like I wanted to hear which one you wanted, John. And you have to say why.
Oh, I like the purple.
Yeah.
But when I found out you can have lime green, ladies and gentlemen,
That's pretty
cool.
Yeah. No. Yoda's is more like a forest.
Yeah,
green.
I wouldn't say lime green. Yeah, forest green for sure.
That's more lime green. I think you gotta have your lime green. Your lime green.
Gotta have
saber.
it, dude. Gotta have it.
Because I was gonna do purple, but then I kept thinking, you know what? Once I do purple, I'm just gonna be like a Sam Jackson wannabe, and
gotta live your own life, man.
Yeah. It's gonna be lime green for me.
Well, you, Brandon. What's your color and reason?
I'd probably do teal, like a nice mix between blue and green.
Ooh, nice.
Gotta be unique, Everyone's got blue, everyone's got green, but no one combine the two. That's me.
You gotta have your peanut butter with your chocolate.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I live my life.
There you go.
Me? Well, I'd go red because I'm an asshole, and
Classic.
I would want to live in a world where
Well, no
I
surprise
am. Yeah. So I knew this instantly because the moment I saw, like, you mentioned this, you're like, hey, we should ask this question. I was like, man, I played Fable, and I remember the first time I played Fable, I went evil route, man. Like, I want to see those horns pop up. I want to see my skin distort. I want to kill innocents.
Unlawful.
It's fun. It's fun to play that.
Is there something I should know about you, Jake?
I mean, in games, yeah. I mean, so I knew, like, I was like, yeah, I would select the red lightsaber.
Mass Effect full evil playthrough.
Yeah, at least do the full evil. At least
Renegade.
Do that first.
But in terms of Fallen Order, though, I don't think they're letting you do red.
It's not
right?
red. It's not. But in general, like if I had to select a lightsaber type, it would be that. But I'm pretty sure, there's nothing. I think the closest is what was that pre-order bonus, the orange or cyan or something like that. It's like,
what?
Okay.
If they ever have a chartreuse.
Now you're speaking, John.
That'll be my number 2 pick.
Nice.
Close second.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's talk. Let's move it on and talk about Blizzard for a second and BlizzCon 2019. I don't know how invested you guys are with their series, their games. If you guys do play WoW, if you play like the Diablo series or Hearthstone
The
or Overwatch?
only game that I was interested in that whole damn thing was Overwatch 2.
Yeah. Why? Why are you interested in it? Do you think like that was needed? Like they needed to have a sequel? What'd you like about the trailer?
I don't think they needed to have a sequel. I think Activision wanted them to have a sequel. I think Activision said, "Hey, we would like some more money trucked up to our door."
Yeah.
I think this whole thing could have been Overwatch 2.0 or like some sort of major patch, and Activision just went to Jeff Kaplan and said, "You know what? Yeah, we're gonna do to you exactly what we did to Bungie." And so, because Destiny 2 could have been Destiny 2.0.
Yeah.
But Activision wanted a whole new SKU and whatnot. So this is all Activision. Now, business aside, I'm really excited to actually see a single-player campaign in Overwatch. So I actually play Overwatch fairly frequently, and since the game released a couple of years ago, you always see snippets of the story, and I find it frustrating that you had to you were kind of forced to read the comics to get
it's like
any
very
backstory.
expanded universe. It's not like within the game.
Right. Now, of course, they had the amazing animated shorts, which I think they should just Blizzard should just make a movie out of already.
Aren't they making like a TV show or something? I think.
Are they? Oh, I hope so. I hope so. I would totally watch the shit out of that. But if you put all the animated shorts together, it actually makes like an hour and a half feature film, pretty much. Yeah. So, but like I said, those are the only bits of story that you got, and you never. I mean, holiday events aside, you never really got any actual playable story. So I'm really glad to see that some single player come out of this. I think it's about damn time.
Yeah, there you go.
But just the quality of life improvements and stuff like that. Besides that, it should have been just Overwatch 2.0.
Yeah.
Diablo.
I'm feeling the same.
Diablo. Blizzard's trying to recapture Diablo 2 because they screwed up on Diablo 3. Not that it was like a bad game, but
the launch for sure.
So it wasn't as, I don't think it ever reached the popularity of Diablo 2. Correct if I'm wrong. I mean, it's popular, but and then what else did they announce there? Oh, like Hearthstone. I play Hearthstone. It's all right, I mean,
sound like you love that game,
that
buddy.
Enthusiasm.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, I could see where you're kind of being forced to buy, to give Activision Blizzard money, and it's one of my games where I'm just gonna hold out as long as possible. I think I do fairly well, and by fairly well I mean pretty terribly in competitive, but I don't want to pay any more for that game. But for a free game, hey, why not?
Yeah, it's hard to beat free. Yeah, what about you, Brandon? What's your thoughts on BlizzCon and the games, the announcements, reveals, trailers?
Yep. So I watched the Overwatch 2 announcement and gameplay, the Diablo 4 announcement and gameplay, and I just kind of read a little bit like the other stuff like Hearthstone. My take, Blizzard is very, very good at CGI.
Yes.
Very good. Like, get the people going, give them what they want, a bunch of computer-generated cutscenes. That said, I think sometimes I'm a little frustrated by, like, hey, here's this big flashy thing, and then, like, here's a little gameplay, but, like, we'll get to that later, right? Yeah. I think I was really trying to analyze this, and I think the Overwatch cinematic trailer, they just do a really good job of, like, trying to invest you in the characters. And there was some gameplay in the Overwatch 2 trailer, but, like, you look at like what Blizzard calls the gameplay trailer, the first like third of it is just still like story stuff. It's not really gameplay. There's only like gameplay in the last like 60 seconds of it, so it's one of those things where I get why they're doing it. Like, I understand marketing, like they're trying to build the support, like they want you to care about the characters first and foremost, and that will in turn invest you in the game more. Like, oh, I care about this character who I'm playing, or I really care about this person. Winston's such a cool guy, so like when I click one on my mouse, like I'm attached to that character. Diablo 4.
Did they announce a date?
I don't think so.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
I don't know. Diablo 4, I will say, again, great CGI. That trailer was like really dark. Like the thief just was like not giving a shit. That guy behind the door, he's like, he's dead now. Like who cares, right? Really good job again setting the tone. And then there was more gameplay in the gameplay trailer. I think Diablo, and I think Jake, I'll be curious your opinion on this. Diablo to me, like, I almost feel like the fan base kind of just wants more of the same, right? Like
That's true. It's true. 100% true.
right.
Yeah.
You just see a bunch of people blowing stuff up, killing a bunch of
Right.
minions, and getting
Yeah.
loot, and you're
Yeah,
happy.
the loot.
Right.
Just give me loot, man. Just give
It's
me
all
the
about the loot. It's all
Yeah.
about
So it's like how, like that's the feeling that they're trying to convey. It's like, hey, what you guys want, like we've got more of that. And so
Don't forget to pray to RNGesus. You know, that
Yeah,
does that whole
yes,
bit in there too.
RNGesus.
Yeah.
very important, very important. But that was kind of my take. I was like, cool Blizzard, like thank you for doing awesome CGI. Like the gameplay looks interesting. I just think it's too early. Like as we were saying, like I don't think there's release dates for either of these, and I'm trying to like set expectations. Like okay, like I rarely am like so sold on hype like before a game comes out. I really try to like temper expectations. Like all right, like let's look at this like critically. Like let's try to understand what the game is actually going to be before we just like look at one CGI trailer and think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Right. And you're in marketing, so like you do have a little bit of insight into this kind of world.
Yeah,
You know, like you kind of
right.
know what piques people's interests, and
Yeah.
so you see behind the veil, you see behind the
Right.
curtains, you kind of see what's going on. So you
Right.
see that CGI trailer, you just see the shiny thing getting dangled in front of our
Yeah,
eyes.
I'm trying to
So what are they
think
doing
critically
right?
about it.
So I didn't know about this. So Brandon, what do you think they're doing right, and what do you think that marketing wise, what do you think they can do better? You know.
So, I mean, I'm not a marketing expert. I kind of like related to the marketing field, but I think they do a really good job of making you care. Overwatch, like you look at those two trailers back to back, the Overwatch 2 trailer is so clear. It's like, we want you to care about Tracer. We want you to care about Winston. So when you're fighting as Winston and Tracer, you're like, oh, like I have an emotional attachment. Like there's so many, like if you look at the way the music swells when Winston turns like, I got this. Like I'll catch up with you guys. Like don't worry, I'm the hero. They're trying to sell it like it's an MCU movie, right? They're trying to make you feel like, oh yeah, I want to feel that feeling like when I go see a movie like that. Versus they're not trying to sell the gameplay. It is a very different type of trailer versus like, look how much fun you're going to have playing this game. It's look how emotionally attached you're going to be to these characters, which like is an effective tactic, right? But it's, and Diablo 4, we were just talking about with openings, right? Is setting the tone. I get why they're doing it. Like Jake, you and I have been talking, like they're trying to say like, hey, Diablo 3 was like kind of cutesy, like not super dark. Diablo 4, like people are going to die, blood, like vein things are going to make a weird like summoning triangle, right? Like it's they're really trying to make you feel like, oh shit, like this is a serious game, like people are going to die. Like we are so invested in like how dark this world is, and they're selling that to get you excited about a game that we've seen like less than 2 minutes of gameplay, right? Or I mean, maybe we've seen more. I think there's been like, people have like hands on, but I think that is the point of these CGI trailers. It's not to sell like you're going to have so much fun clicking 1 and 2 back and forth and collecting loot. It's we want to put you in this world and we want you to feel that this is a dark, oppressive world. Or
I never
we
even
want you
thought
to
about that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just trying to look at these things like a little bit more critically than just like, oh wow, I'm like so amazed. Like this game, let me pre-order now. I haven't even like don't know what it's
Give me
gonna be doing.
money.
Yeah, right. Like that's the whole point of that trailer. It's like pre-order now. It's gonna be so dark and amazing. Like that's what it is.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Well, my thoughts are, a little bit mixed with it. I've actually gone down the rabbit hole of Diablo 4, so I know from all of the beta, from many different personalities, like many other YouTube people. Like I've followed them. I've seen hours of the beta. It's only like a 15-minute beta, but it's open in an area that you can like proceed far enough into it. Like everybody has like a little bit different of an encounter. They show a couple things. I'll circle back to that. As far as like Overwatch and stuff goes, I thought the same as John. Like it should just be like a 2.0. It should just be like a DLC. I didn't think about the reasons why, but it does make sense. Activision getting their fingers into it a little bit, but I don't have any attachment to it. Never played it. Not real interested in it. It's not something on my radar. Saw the trailer, saw like that, yeah, I guess cinematic experience that they gave you, like trying to sell you on it. Okay. Hearthstone, same. Okay, never jumped on it. Not interested. But Diablo 4. That's like something I've been clamoring for and interested in a long time. I played, Diablo 2 back in the day. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
You
notice they didn't mention Heroes of the Storm?
They didn't, did they? Is that dying off now?
Well, didn't they like cancel all the tournaments? Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Man.
Oops.
Yeah.
Good old Blizzard.
There was also slightly unrelated, but the whole controversy, the Hong Kong thing going on, the opening ceremony, I believe it was during that. I think Jay Allen came out. I didn't see this posted anywhere, but this guy was supposedly supremely remorseful. I think you probably saw, at least Brandon, the Easy Allies coverage of it and how they're.
I saw the whole apology, because I was actually curious. Yeah.
It's, he has to. Yeah.
I don't know if we want to get super into it. It's
no,
just, it wasn't really an apology.
We'll avoid the craziness that gets around there.
Yeah.
It had to be done. Whether he felt it or not, whatever. That was a tone that was surrounding this entire conference. So going into that, just know that Blizzard, it was like they're up under hostage. They have people surrounding them with pitchforks and knives. This was not a good time for them leading up to this. This was bad. They needed something. So even though they give you these 2 games without release dates, they're like, hey, please look at this shiny thing again.
Yeah, don't look at a controversy.
Don't look deeper.
100%.
Yeah, so this is...
Yeah, but you know what else Blizzard needs, though?
What?
That Chinese market money.
Yeah, the Chinese money, man. They need it. I know. But
so that's why, his apology was yeah, we're sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
It wasn't really an apology.
Yeah.
Yeah. But circling back to Diablo, again, big fan. I've loved it since Diablo 2, and I'm hardcore with my love with Diablo 2 is the classic mode. I'm not even a big fan of say Lord of the Destruction. I love going back and playing classic from time to time. I played it probably more than any other game in my life, and I still go back to it from time to time. Not as often in recent years, but because Diablo 3 is kind of giving me a little bit more of the fix. But I loved it. I loved the dark aesthetic, the thing that they're trying to bring back with Diablo 4. I loved the PvP. I loved the sense that I got when encountering each boss for the first time. Good example would be say Dariel is this giant maggot-like boss. He's the brother of Endariel, which is the boss act of Act 1. You face him in Act 2, and it's just terrifying. You get dropped into this cave, this little cave, small little area you can barely maneuver around, and this boss slug thing pops up out of the ground with these giant pincer things and starts attacking you, and you just feel claustrophobic. And granted, looking at it now, you're probably it's like looking at the first Resident Evil game, be you were scared of this game, but back then it was it had that feeling. Diablo 3 always felt WoW skinned, it cloned onto the game. It was you'll see an enemy get dismembered, but it looks like a Looney Tune, sequence. It looks like something like Bugs Bunny that was getting exploded. Little body parts were moving around, but it didn't seem that dark. It didn't seem that gritty. It just seemed more toned down, I guess, than the original. I still really, really enjoyed it. It's still a fun game. I see the criticisms for it. The big thing at launch, it was shit. It was garbage. I'm super excited to play that game. I was in Turkey, and I remember having the game ready to go, watching that download bar go right, and then finally finish, and then clicking play, and nothing fucking happening. Nothing happening for hours, dude. Hours and hours and hours, and I couldn't get in. And then every now and then I'd get in for a minute and then get immediately booted, and it was one of the worst frustrations in gaming I've had, because I couldn't play that for, it was days till that got fixed. Until it was...
That was such a shit show, wasn't it?
It was bad.
That launch, yeah.
And, granted, at the time in Turkey, I had crap internet as it was, so we're talking slow download speeds for this game. I'm just wanting to play this so bad. Someone who's played crap ton of D2.
Day one, man.
Yeah. And
that's
then
the price to pay.
I liked the Diablo 3, kind of like the base game in a couple ways. It was super challenging. They only had, if I remember, like 4 difficulties, and Inferno was the hardest. And it wasn't like now we have 16 difficulty or 16 torment levels. Like it's pretty ridiculous. It's
Keep
just
adding more.
Yeah, and I kind of get it, but it was a little bit too challenging. It wasn't balanced in the end game. All you could do is replay the story mode over and over and over again. I know too much of the dialogue by this point. I get, I skip through so much of it, but like you still get clips and clips and clips, and it's just that this game has. I mean, it came out 2012, so it's time. Like it's time for that next iteration in a. If Overwatch can get its sequel,
You don't want to play Diablo on your phone, man?
Dude,
don't you have phones? Don't you have a phone, Jake? No.
Such a slap in the face last year. Like.
Did they cancel that?
No,
I bet it's still
they didn't bring it up.
Yeah, they're not going to bring it up with all the
BlizzCon.
controversy. Yeah.
But it's from my understanding not canceled, because I remember Riker, one of the YouTubers, was talking about the demo he experienced over there. So it's still coming. It's just not. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
But Diablo 4.
As a quick tangent, speaking of free to play, have you played the Call of Duty mobile game?
No.
Surprisingly addictive.
Yeah.
I can get my crack on the go. Yeah, dude. Yeah. But then all the cosmetics I think are all the cosmetics. All the pay crap is cosmetic, I think.
Yeah.
It's not too deep. It's not too deep in terms of like it's not pay to win or anything like that.
Yeah.
There's no controller control scheme. They took that out for whatever reason. But with touch controls, it feels like Call of Duty. So I just love how I just steered the conversation back to Call of Duty.
Man,
I know what I'm playing after this.
I think that's what you're gonna do after this, huh? You're just gonna
right after we finish recording, I think I'm gonna go play a couple of rounds.
But yeah, I mean, I felt the same thing. I knew going into it that their cinematics are top tier. I loved it. I've seen the cinematics for Diablo 3, all of them, many times. I used to show them to other friends in different countries to get them interested in the game, so I could
the CGI, man.
Look at this.
It's the
like,
CGI.
It's
Man, ever since Warcraft 3, you remember the cinematics for that? That was already kind of impressive for the time.
Yeah, I mean that's what they're known for.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, I'm with the camp that thinks they should just make a movie at this point, because they have the
Them and
talent.
Kojima can have a movie.
They tried it with WoW. That didn't do too well, didn't it?
Right.
The WoW movie.
Well,
it was mixed.
WoW was like live action though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think they directly produced the movie. I think it was some other studio that did that.
Like Legendary or something.
Yeah, something. Yeah, so it was big in China though, wasn't it?
I don't know. I didn't follow it. I think
money.
I even saw 15 minutes of it.
Chinese money.
Yeah, man. But yeah, dudes, with Diablo 4, so coming from somebody who's played countless hours in Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, I like the aesthetic. Like I said, I've seen a couple hours of the demo, the beta. It's not even beta, it's just straight up a demo of one little area. I can see what they're trying for. If they did anything other than what they did, the Diablo franchise would have been dead. Absolutely, bar none, it would have gone over. So you have this player base, you have these people that have been clamoring for the same thing, like you said, over and over. They want the same thing. Give them what they want. Give them a return to form with dark corners, with environmental spells that aren't crazy screen illuminating
I love that
and
stuff,
again
though.
the whole loot system. Yeah, I mean, it can be, but Diablo's always been, if you played 2, it's dark. You want to not know what's behind that door. You don't want to see that enemy come out of the shadows. This is all part of the experience. You know what I mean? If you shoot a spell over there and it illuminates it, that increases the experience. That's better. But I don't know. That's just my personal preference. I liked it, but I watched a art panel, coverage on it of where they drew inspirations from, ancient, I don't remember, goth, old, I don't want to misquote anything, but it was a lot of old areas. Somewhere was in Scotland, I think, for the demo that they did, and just the the mentality, the thought process that going into it is a return to form to like Diablo 2, because they knew that's what was going to sell. That was what's going to get their player base back on. What I saw, I did like. I don't know because I didn't play it. I didn't like the skill tree. It looked extremely basic. It looked like.
I mean, that stuff's so early. Like.
Yeah, it's years and years and years out. Like we already know, they said not soon, not Blizzard soon. So like we know it's not coming for a long ass time. But it's that looked bad. Like and I think me and Brandon were talking about this. Like Path of Exile, that's super complicated. That's a skill tree right there. That's ridiculous. I don't know if they'd go that far, but
I think they're making a sequel. Aren't they making a sequel to Path of Exile?
Path of Exile 2, yeah. Yeah, I think there's ExileCon going on in New Zealand right now, so I think that was just announced or just dropped. More news is coming out like now, but yeah, so that's just my basic thoughts. Is I did like what I saw. I liked some of what they were throwing in there. I saw that they were putting an emphasis on PvP, which that was huge in D2 and not completely absent in D3, but garbage in D3. And
I've never played PvP in Diablo 3.
Yeah, there's one area in the beginning.
I'm scared to play PvP in Diablo 3.
It's not balanced because like how they scale it up to like say Torment 16, everybody's character is like you one-shot mobs. Like you know what I mean? Like it's so when you do that against other players, like
you one-shot players, yeah.
It's not fun. It's just not a good little experience. Before it was dude, let me paint a picture for you real quick. I won't stay long on this, but Diablo 2, you're in the rogue encampment. That's like your starting area. Everybody's leveled up. I got this level 50 guy. You got this level 60 guy. You run out of town. Right before you run out of town, you click the hostile button. That means, hey, anybody want some?
Yo, I'm ready to fight.
outside of town, so I'll take on anybody. And there's a line of people just like waiting outside in the little safe zone. And you see like say it's a barbarian on the outside, and a necromancer goes out there to try to like summon some skeletons or do something to try to take down the Barb. Barb just like whirlwinds into him, kills him, picks up his ear, picks up his gold, makes some war cry shouts, like where my banner's coming from, like war cry games, and then is just hovering over his body because what do you got to do? You got to go collect that body to get your gear back. So he's just hovering and whirling. He's like, come get some. Who's next? And then say the pissed off nerd who's been playing 1,000 hours of D2, could have been me at some point. Hey, screw this guy. I go log off, log back in, get like my level 80, level 90 paladin or something, jump into that same game, go find him, one-shot him, and now I'm the guy out there. Hey, guys. Just bouncing back and forth. And that's kind of like how it was at Basic. And then it was interesting when you got two people around the same level that were skillful. You'd have like a sorceress teleporting around. You'd have a paladin trying to catch up to him using their charge attack, like trying to... The whole map, you'd have your little mini map up and ready, trying to track where this person is, trying to avoid that frozen orb, trying to like hit a shot with your hammer. And it was very, very tactile. Like it was very hard to... It was hard to play either character because... it depends on like who you're playing against, what their equipment was, and it was balanced a little bit better, but it was fun. It was a good time. I want them to bring it back.
Yeah.
All they said was, it's coming. Like, oh, we're going to do PvP.
Hopes and dreams.
Well, yeah. But yeah, like you said, I do want to keep my expectations in check because I can see how easily they can mess it up. I've already been burned once, so my hands already touched the stove on that. So if it happens, then at least I'll be prepared for it. We'll skip Anthem for now, unless you guys want to talk about it real quick. There was
so I'm just a one-liner. That's the only reason why I want to bring it up. Really, is because the thing that made it significant was that they said they were completely rehauling the game, right?
Yeah, bringing life back.
There was only one other time.
Is this a rumor, or confirmed? Because
this is pretty much confirmed. So according to Kotaku.com, BioWare has been secretly reworking entire sections of the game. Basically going back to the drawing board on entire sections of the game. There's two studios handling it. There's a studio in Edmonton and a studio in Austin, Texas. And the crux of it is that, the reason why they weren't releasing so many updates to the current game as it is was because they're going to try and just redo the game. So this reminds me of another point in history where pretty much everybody gave up on the game. And then they came back and they remade the game completely, and now it's a big
No
hit.
Man's Sky.
No, well,
No
yes,
Man's Sky.
that's another one. I'm thinking
Final Fantasy MMO.
Yes, Final Fantasy 14.
14, 11?
Yeah.
14?
14.
Realm
When
Reborn.
that came out.
They were like, yo,
Yes,
sorry
when
guys,
that-
we fucked up. We're going to remake this whole game.
And I played 1.0 and it was terrible. It was like, I logged on and I was like, okay, what is this shit? And then I just completely logged off again. And I didn't see it again until Realm Reborn. I'm seeing the same thing again happen with Anthem. So you hear it here first, Warcry Games, Anthem's going to be awesome when it comes out again. Maybe
Yeah,
not.
wow,
You know
that's
what?
a-
I don't
high
want. You
hopes.
know
I
what?
love the
No.
optimism.
Actually, you know what? No. Actually, don't.
Hey, we're quoting you, man. I'm blowing this up
Don't
in my
quote-
video later. Like
Hey,
your
we're
face
quoting you,
zoomed
yeah.
in. Like you heard it here first, John.
But that's the only
Heard it
reason why I
here
really wanted to
first.
bring that up.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to bring it up. Yeah.
Lay
Okay.
a stake in the
Anyways,
ground.
we can do it. Yeah.
I've only played, well, I'll say sub 5 hours of it. I played enough to, I checked it out from the library here on base, and I wasn't going to pay money for it because I already knew about the controversy around it. I knew about its flaws, but
I'm
hey,
paying for this shit.
it is what it is. It's again, it's my money. It's the way I'm going to vote. Is if I really like your game, if I'm going to want to support you as a developer. But like from what everybody's saying, you guys didn't put the effort into it. You need to. It was released rushed. There was a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on that led to the developmental issues it had. It shows. It's like it's a boring game. It's not fun. It's not that. That's what it is.
Not
It's
good.
just. It's not. I mean, it's
there
not.
was so a little bit from the Kotaku article. The basic idea was that the Edmonton studio was supposed to finish the game and then hand it off to the Austin studio, but I guess they didn't
For
want to let
post-game
go of their
support.
baby. Yeah, Austin was going to be
Yeah,
the post game
surprise,
support,
surprise.
and Edmonton was going to be the, and so they were. I mean, they were just bickering with each other, and that's what, ended up adding to a lot of the issues. So. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Good dude. Any other thoughts on Anthem? I mean, that's an interesting little news bit.
I mean, when you brought this up first, that my first reaction was Mass Effect Andromeda, and I was like, hey, like they basically just let that game die. And the Mass Effect franchise, I think there's a lot of diehard fans, and I think it was just like so disappointing to see that's how they treated, such a revered franchise. So I kind of had the assumption that the same thing would happen with Anthem. I mean, I'm optimistic. I'm like willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, hey, if you can pull a Final Fantasy Realm Reborn or a No Man's Sky, like it'll be an awesome comeback story. But again, like expectations are very much in check. Like you really got to impress me before I really get hyped on it.
All right, guys. Well, moving on to our last segment here. This one is also courtesy of Brandon here. He's got some really good ideas. You guys should listen to him. These bits are nice. This one's gonna be
The
called.
hits just keep on coming.
Hits, hey man, that's what I'm here for. Give
Oh
people
yeah,
what they
man.
want.
Bring them hits. It's this one's gonna be called the War Cry, and again, this is gonna be topics designed to spark a debate. And I'm gonna read this. It's just like 2 or 3 sentences, and then you guys can just respond with your thoughts about it. But I really do like it. It's thought provoking. How important is nostalgia in your enjoyment of a game? As we continue to see waves of game remakes and remasters, do rose-tinted glasses cause you to overlook a game's shortcomings? Can a truly novel game ever hope to dethrone a title that defined your childhood?
I'm going to leave it to
So-
Brandon for this one first.
Yeah, I came up with this question because, and I think it's very relevant to what we've been talking about today. Think about the games we've been calling out, right? We've been calling out Diablo. Jake, you're talking about how you've been a
Right.
Diablo fan your entire life and how excited you
Yeah.
are for Diablo 4. We've been talking about Link's Awakening. Like that was joking that we're going to bring it back up again. That is a game. It was the first game I ever played, right? And I am such a big Zelda fan because of that game. So of course I'm going to buy day one when they remake Link's Awakening. And then you're saying, there's all these issues with frame rate. And I think one of the things I really want to discuss today is, to Jake's point, like, can we ever hope to dethrone like a game that is so revered? Like, Jake, Diablo 2 is such a special place in your heart. So Diablo 4 is coming out, and they're like, oh, don't worry, this is going to be just like Diablo 2. Everyone who loves Diablo 2, Diablo 4 is all of those good feels and more. right? Where someone else coming to the Path of Exile, like Jake, have you played Path of Exile? Is a good question.
I was in the beta of it, so I was in it before it released. I never put money onto it, but to me, yeah, it had a closer feel to Diablo 2 than Diablo 3 did.
So that's my whole point is, could Path of Exile be, in your eyes, ever better than, Diablo 2 or Diablo 4? Like, could a new Zelda game or could a new Call of Duty, like all these games that we're so fond of, I mean, this year is Resident Evil 2, the remaking Final Fantasy 7,
Right.
these games that are so revered. I loved Resident Evil 2 when it came out. Like, these are games that have such a high standing in the industry. Some other studio comes out and says, hey, this is our survival horror game, nothing to do with Leon, nothing to do with Resident Evil 2. Is it possible for us to look at that game and be like, oh yeah, we love it just as much? Versus, could you just pick up Resident 2 and be like, oh, it's Leon and Claire, like, I don't even care about all the bugs or the issues. Now, that's a bad example because Resident Evil 2 Remake is an amazing game, but, like, some of these other games, like, let's say Diablo 4 comes out and it has all these issues. It's like, oh, but it's Diablo. Like, I love it, like, etc. Like, you have this attachment to it. Is it really possible for us to, like, look past all those issues with a game just because we love it so much or it's related to something that we grew up with?
So, I mean, I got a couple of thoughts on it. I'm mixed. I am mixed because I know how strong nostalgia is. It's strong, man. Like, it's so easy to look back and be like, I remember how I felt playing this. It's easy for me. For example, I play Super Mario World yearly. I 100% it, get that 96 and that star. This is par for the course for me. I love that game. I do. I'll always love it. I'll always love it for not just the way it is. Like, to me, in all honesty, without a biased opinion, I know it's a game that holds up. People still go back to play it because it's a pixel perfect platformer. It's pretty. It's nice. It was genre defining, kind of. It was a little bit later in the series, but I know you do this, Brandon. I don't know about John. I actually write down a list of my top 10 games of all time. I always keep it in my little word pad. Every now and then I shuffle them around based on like what games I played, what if it has changed over time, and I look back at my list for this reason. And Super Mario World is my number 3. Even though I play that game every year, I love it. It's amazing. The 2 games above it are more recent entries, like newer games in the last 2 years. So then I'm like, okay. So nostalgia plays a role, obviously, or else Super Mario maybe wouldn't even be on the board. I'd say something like Celeste maybe is better than it for the story element that it brings to it. You know what I mean? Like, but it's still on my list, and Celeste isn't. And I love Celeste, but what I'm saying is, like, my number 1 now, and this actually was a close contestant between 1 and 2, is Breath of the Wild. So Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and then my number 2 is God of War, and the God of War from last year, 2018. That was an amazing game. That was an amazing experience.
And you don't have nostalgia for God of War because you never played the previous series.
So like
that's an interesting take. Yeah.
That is interesting. Yeah.
Like coming from it, and I was even worried at first. And it's one of those things you Google: can I play this game? Am I going to understand it? And then like once you realize that, you can enter into this.
Well, they call it God of War for a reason.
Right.
They didn't put a number for a reason.
And so my thought is I see that it plays a strong factor. I think I look at my list and I have 4 newer games and 6 older games in my top 10. So that is showing that nostalgia is playing a strong role. I've got, going from top to bottom, Breath of the Wild, God of War, Super Mario World, then The Last of Us, Donkey Kong Country, Fable, Golden Sun, Witcher 3, Pokemon Blue, and Diablo 2. These are all like in my top 10 list. I love Diablo 2. I would not put it above like a lot of these other games. Like, even because it's fun, I love playing Call of Duty. I love playing.
But even Pokemon Blue, right? Which you've played more games than Pokemon Blue.
100%
nostalgia.
You think
the games that came later
are better?
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
But
that's my whole point. Are they better games? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say quality of life improvements, better visuals, more Pokemon, more stuff in the game. It's better. It's fun. They haven't really taken stuff out. They've only added stuff, but I would still say the thing that created it, the initial entry in the series was perfect as it was. I did like it. I would still play that game today. It's one of those, it's like what you said, like the rose-tinted glasses do come on strong, and I recognize that more after reading that question.
Right. I think the one thing I really want to get to is, do you recognize the shortcomings of those games? I think that's the fundamental thing where it's like, oh, I love this game. It is my favorite. It was like on my top 10 games of all time. Can you take an unbiased approach to a game, especially if it's remade, like something like a Link's Awakening, something like a Pokemon Let's Go Eevee or Let's Go Pikachu? These games that
and
are
I thought about
essentially
this
a game
earlier
that's
today
coming
with
from 20 years ago.
Two of the games on my list I recognize as being like, okay, they don't hold up to previous standards, current generation standards. Like Fable is a really good example that has been remade, and even I love it because of nostalgia. I love it because it was the first thing that taught me I could be a bad guy in a video game, that it would have consequences, that every choice I made would reflect on my body and the perception of the people around me. I really, really love that. Just kind of like the whole Life is Strange type of genre where your choices do have consequences. Everything you do will reflect in game. And I loved that. So that's why I loved that game. It was remastered. I played the remastered about 2 years ago or a year and a half ago before I left Denver for Japan. And I think I only got like an hour into it and I was like, nope. it's clunky. It's an old I guess you'd call it more of like an action RPG. It's running around, action adventure kind of style, like an RPG. You do level up your abilities, you level up your skills. It's nothing compared to like, say, The Witcher 3 or even Skyrim. A
modern game,
And I do realize that. So the fact that it's on my list is saying, like I recognize the shortcomings, but I do know it's going to remain on that list.
I mean, it's your list. I'm just
but it's a good point. Same with Golden Sun. It's an older school JRPG, and there have been plenty of others that have been better since then. I can name them, but it won't be on my top 10 game list. But
and
it's a good point.
Another thing I'll say, I'm playing devil's advocate here. I think there definitely are games, Super Mario World, that do hold up. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying, can we be mature enough to look at our own biases and say, hey, like, I like this game because it was the only game I played when I was 5 years old, Yeah.
So.
Your thoughts, John?
What's your take, John?
As the resident old man on
this guy
on the war
games were better 30 years ago.
Where's Pong? Where's my Pong?
I think I can consider myself a subject matter expert when it comes to nostalgia and video games. No, but I mean, okay, so we're gonna get existential here, right? So we're gonna, you see all these sequels, even outside of the gaming industry, with movies. They remade Terminator so many times, 21 Jump Street, all those remakes of the movies. Like, what's original anymore? People just cling to like old things and just seem to like it more because it helps with. It just helps with the enjoyment of it. If nostalgia weren't a thing, and this speaks a little bit to your point, Brandon, I wouldn't have bought every single Final Fantasy since 7. So,
my point.
Everybody
it's got the Final Fantasy name. You're gonna pick it up.
Right, exactly. So I mean, I picked up 8. I don't know. I was like, I never finished 8. I was kind of like, this is, just a dating sim with magic or like magic and summons, and then 9, which, by the way, it was a good game. It's Sakaguchi's favorite. For me, it was still good. It was good. It was good. It just I can see where it tried to tickle my nostalgia. My nostalgia organs a little bit, but I just
Black Mages, guys. You remember those?
Like, oh yeah, I can't see his face. So and then like 10, like, all that stuff. I can see where like if you just took the name Final Fantasy out of it, I probably wouldn't have even picked it up.
Right.
Right. And then so this is where we get a little bit like philosophical, existential. I don't know what the correct term is, but I mean, we'll talk about biases, right? So Jake asked me this question about Death Stranding. He goes, John, would you have picked Death Stranding up if it wasn't made by Hideo Kojima? And I kind of just sat there because I was having I was having a mini crisis. I was like,
Having a moment.
I don't know. You know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe I wouldn't have picked it up if it didn't say a game by Hideo Kojima. We're driven by our biases, is what I'm saying.
The one thing I'll just side tangent, I think the caveat with that is that game wouldn't have existed if not for Hideo Kojima. That's the only thing. That's the only thing on Death Stranding. That's an interesting example, because the one thing I will say is you said it when you were talking about that game. Like, you play a Hideo Kojima game, you know what you're in for. So that is the one thing I can say. Like, I think with Final Fantasy, it might be like there might be different directors, different consoles, different gameplay types. That's a little bit more of a better example for this discussion. But like Hideo Kojima, like he just puts a stamp on the game, and it's like all the pre-release footage. Like, all right, we know this is gonna be a crazy ass story. Like, all this shit is insane.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Definitely. So, but it's we speak of, like, I think the reason why this conversation gets brought up in the first place is because where's the originality now in video games? One of the reasons why I like Death Stranding too is because it's different. It's its own genre. For lack of a better term, it's a Stranding game. It's a Stranding game.
You could just go sign up for FedEx, dude. Same experience. I'm just saying.
Peace out.
Sign job on the weekends.
Sign up for FedEx.
Where's my resume?
No, your talks, our discussions, everything you've said about this game, and from the little I've seen with like reviews, Easy Allies, like you've convinced me to at least. And I'm not coming from a Hideo Kojima's like standpoint, like a fanboy standpoint, because like I've played a little bit of what Metal Gear Solid OG one with Brandon. I played a little bit of. Yeah, but
just so like I'm making him play Death Stranding.
Yeah, but so I'm interested enough to see. I want to know what the controversy is about. I want to know why people are so conflicted. I want to get a feel for that ambience and the music effects when you're about to enter like the next zone or something. I want to get a feel for the community, like bringing people together, clicking that putting down the stake, climbing the ladder. Like, I want to understand that and form my own opinion on it. But just because it is so unique.
Or Jake can just come into the office one day and just drop the disc down and go, John, this fucking sucks.
Yeah. But that's why I requested it from the library, dude. Man. I requested it from the library today, so they're gonna make a request to purchase it and send it over, so I don't have to pay anything. Hey, man.
Government dollars at work. Here we go.
I know. Your tax dollars, ladies and gents. So.
But, all right. Yeah. What about you, Brandon? Does nostalgia, play a factor in your? I already know it does a little bit, at least with say Link to the Past.
I wanted to bring up Link's Awakening because this is what made me think of this.
Yeah, Link's Awakening.
So this remake just came out, and I think it's really interesting. The two Zelda games on Switch, Breath of the Wild and Link's Awakening, are almost as far as you can get on the Zelda spectrum, right? Breath of the Wild is a complete reimagining of the franchise, open world, very different take on dungeons, very different take on combat, versus Link's Awakening is this really cute Game Boy game that they, polished up with these doll-like graphics and charming music. And I'm thinking about this, and again, I think it's hard for me to remove the nostalgia factor. But I was really trying to take that lens of, okay, I used to love this game. It is one of my most cherished possessions. But I see, like dungeon design. Like, there are things in the dungeons. Like, I don't know if it was you I was talking to or one of my other friends. You get to one of the later dungeons, and you have to like destroy towers, right, to like topple one of the floors down, right? And it's just the mechanic that it's such an old school like way of thinking. Like, they don't do a really good job of being like, oh, this is what you should do. This is how you should use the environment. This is how you have to progress in this dungeon. Mm-hmm. And so I think I breezed through it because I played this game 1,000 times. But if I had never played a Zelda game, I would give someone Breath of the Wild. I would not give them Link's Awakening because there are parts of Link's Awakening that I don't think are really approachable for a modern age. I think there are qualities about Link's Awakening that are extremely charming, so I would still recommend it. But if you're new to the Zelda franchise and you don't have that sense of nostalgia for this game, you'll appreciate it. But I think the nostalgia adds so much more to the appreciation of the game, because it's like, oh, I know what this used to look as a Game Boy game, and the fact that they've redone the graphics, the fact they've redone the music, and it goes back into the Dragon Quest, like I was just talking about, like Dragon Quest as this entire mode that's like, hey, remember these old games you guys used to love? How amazing was that?
Yeah.
And like I'm playing through these old worlds of like old Dragon Quest, and I don't have the nostalgia. I'm really trying to be like, all right, I can like see this was probably like an awesome, like really emotional moment for someone who's played these old games. But you have to like have that sense of nostalgia for it to like really pay off, right? Like I'm just playing, it's like, oh, this is kind of cool, and like it's not like impacting me as much. Say Resident Evil 2, I think, is the one thing I brought that up before. That is an example to me where it's one of the few remakes I've played which has truly modernized an old game. I think a lot of these HD remakes, HD remasters, they're bringing old school game design to the modern age, and they're really not changing too much. Like Shadow of the Colossus is an amazing remake. They remade the graphics. The gameplay is very, very similar, and so one could argue like that game has like stood the test of time, but there's definitely parts of it that you feel like you're playing a PS2 game at some points, right? Resident Evil 2, they redid the gameplay from the ground up, and I think that is a great example where even if you've never played the original Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 2 Remake holds up in a modern age because of all the things that they've done to try and make this game appeal to the modern generation. The gameplay over the shoulder is a lot more fast paced than kind of like the slow pop, stop and pop gameplay of like the pre-rendered cutscenes or the pre-rendered or the fixed camera angles. That's what I meant to say. So I think there are examples where someone can look at an HD remake or an HD remaster of a game, just be like, oh, this game's great, you have to play it, and it really hasn't held up. And there's fewer examples of games that have truly, modernized, have remade themselves in such a way. The only other one I'll call out, I haven't played it yet, but you guys have been talking about it all day, Modern Warfare. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, that is a remake of COD 4, which was a game that was beloved by so many, and I think people, like, yes, Call of Duty sells gangbusters. Everyone loves Call of Duty, but Modern Warfare is specifically trying to tap into, hey guys, remember how fun COD 4 was? Well, we're right back at that. Like, let's do that again. Let's tap right into that. And I really don't think it would have had the sales numbers it's achieved if not for that nostalgia factor.
Dude, Call of Duty,
absolutely.
it's gonna sell anyways.
Final Fantasy VII Remake would sell anyways, even if it was a shitty game. So as much as they're trying to make an original game out of it, really, when I kept hearing messages about how they redid the battle system, this and that, I was like, guys, we all know this is a nostalgia game. Just give us HD graphics and Final Fantasy VII, and I think people will still buy the damn game. You don't have to make it like
this as the PS3 demo. Come on.
I mean, like, really, that's all they needed to do. But you bring up a lot of good points about nostalgia gaming, I guess, is what we should call the grander genre of all of this.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, like, you could call,
bringing back those old feelings.
But
that's what it's all about, man. Bring back them good feelings.
Yeah. Going to Breath of the Wild, again, if you do the practice of, like, if you call it Oceanhorn Breath of the Wild, I think people would really enjoy it. So, and nobody gives a shit about Oceanhorn.
Yeah, gameplay holds up. Yeah.
So, anyways.
Well, guys, unless you have any other final thoughts or anything to add to the podcast, I mean, this pretty much covers all the topics we really wanted to talk about.
Can I just say?
Yeah.
I think we did fantastic considering we were only supposed to do this for an hour.
Yeah.
And we're
great on the time. We're great on the time.
Dedication.
Man. Yeah.
Dedication.
That's awesome.
Got a lot to say, man. We're passionate gamers.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
That's the War Cry podcast for you.
Yeah. You started off strong.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much it. So for all the viewers, thank you for joining us. For more, please consider subscribing. There's going to be a lot more to come with Astral Chain. I'm at episode 32 of the series. 33 is coming up soon. And then, leave your comments down below for anything you thought, like you agreed with, disagreed with, anything you wanted to expand upon.
Smash it.
Smash that like button. Just hit it. Just smash it.
Ring the bell.
And
ring the notification bell.
You guys knew it. Oh, I like it.
Subscribe.
You're working for me.
We're not even getting paid for this either. Come on.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining. I really do appreciate it. Thank both of you guys for contributing and for coming up with ideas and sparking questions, good debates, talks. But yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna stop recording.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.